but I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 6, 3, 2, 9, 7.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, the last couple conversations, as usual, all these conversations find a way of flowing into each other. One inspiration begets another, and the begets, and then here we are wondering how we got here. But sometimes you can trace it back. And, of course, we were talking about the psychic stuff just recently, a couple different ways. But it got me thinking, not just in terms of, let's say, psychic resonant human energy, like we've talked about quite a lot, sort of hauntings and this type of stuff, how you amplify these energies in some capacity with trauma and other ways, which we did talk a little bit about last show. Well, in this particular case, I found myself wondering what this looks like at scale. And you know me, many of these ideas come to me because I think of something very mundane sometimes, some very, very simple idea, and then scale it and think about what this looks like with all the energies of the earth and all the people involved and how we interact with it or don't. And, it's complicated. This stuff is very complicated because it's as yet science, okay? It's kind of that fringe idea of what science is probably about to become very quickly here. As I like to talk about the quickening, if you listen to me at all, you'll know that's what I'm always on about. But here's an interesting part of this. Recently, we were kind of just messing around on the Discord and, the interwebs at large, and I found this pretty cool tool. It's from Dungeons & Dragons. If you go into the Discord, again, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link on top. It's the blue button there, and it'll give you a free invite. It's completely free, a chat client, a voice client. Come hang out. Come meet most of the amazing people that are locked into the show and participate through the Discord. It's an international thing too, so you could call in from anywhere in the world for free, which is pretty cool. Anyway, or it's just typed to each other, just it's a chat room too. Anyway, so here's the deal. I was going through some of the stuff and some of the more interesting ideas recently that kind of came to my mind. And there was this web tool, Black Citadel. No, sorry, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Oh my goodness. Too many links. One moment, please. That's not it. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So this is a Magic X alignment chart. Okay. Now the alignment chart. Hold on, we'll get to resonant energies in a moment here. Now, the alignment chart is based on the Dungeons and Dragons aspect. Again, I'm going to go a little D&D for some inspiration, but then we're going to get more weird than that. Because check this out. There's the good, the evil, the lawful, and the chaotic on the graph, okay? Now, the whole point of this tool is to put in your information from your X account, and it will sort of determine from your posts and your attitude and, you know, these sorts of things, where you sit in the spectrum of right these good and evils, these lawfuls and chaotics, and all the rest of that. And I thought it was kind of a neat little thing. Of course, it's not scientific at all. It's, you know, God bless whoever built it and the AI that kind of cranked it out and all the stuff. But you know what I mean. This is not science. This is just kind of a funny thing based on your, you know, online demeanor on one social media platform. But I put mine in and it showed up like this. So it had me all the way over on the chaotic side and up above the good line. So kind of a more chaotic good type of individual, right? And so these alignments got me thinking about not just, let's say, the idea of good and evil, chaos and order in the human systems, but in the larger context of, is this sort of happening outside of human paradigms? Okay. And we'll get to that, like chakras and things like this, or the vibe checks. You know, we've talked about this quite a lot when you walk into a place and you just know it's a bad juju, and so you get the hell out of there, right? Something like that. But there is that latent detection within us, if we're paying attention, that intuition that kind of picks up on this stuff. But anyway, it was funny because a few other people put their X account into this tool. I couldn't get it working now. I'm not sure if the tool is down right now, but anyway, it was kind of funny. You'll find that in the D&D channel on Discord. And so who else? Joey put his in, I think, and he was also chaotic good. Who else put theirs in? Let's see, Joey. Who else did? Sweets put hers in. It was chaotic good as well. So it got me thinking, not just in terms of, let's say, the vibe tribe, which we've talked about in the past, where you're sort of your frequency, your energy, it draws people of like frequency and like energy to you. And that could just be, you know, simple things like attitude, like demeanor, like, you know, willingness to be friendly, or, you know, stick your neck out and not really afraid to feel stupid when, you know, a situation might warrant it. Stuff like that, right? Where you maybe don't take yourself too, it's kind of seriously, but not too seriously. Anyway, like as usual, the fine art lives in the fringes of, human ideas, right? And of course, the fine art of the human is just an utter mess, but you get my point. So it got me thinking in terms of this, right? If just a small sample size, just a few of us dropped our X account into this and got chaotic good. We're chaotic good, which is, you know, good, but also we got a little bit of chaos in us. Yeah, right. So I do wonder if there's something more to it than that. But then, of course, I started digging a little deeper and wondering about what this looks like as usual in the larger context. And it came up with this idea, psychic signatures. And of course, the physics of alignment resonance theory, which we'll get to. So think of it this way. I'm talking something brand new. Alignment resonance theory. Once again, right? You can brainstorm these wild ideas through AI systems now, and it comes out with such amazing things if you prompt it properly. It's really, really good these days. And so I was surprised to find that there's a lot that really goes into the scientific aspect of it. So we will get into that. But here's the part of this, right? Is that where are we at time wise? I don't want to really be reading. Okay, not going to read this so much. But okay, so let me just preface this with the D&D alignment system real fast, because it's for the people that are the uninitiated, as I like to say. It's not so clear sometimes what this means when you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. People get a little weird. They're like, I've never played that. And, you know, it's like the Satanic Panic or something. It's not really. But anyway, it's just a way to sort of boil down your character's alignment, demeanor, and how you would role play that character to kind of keep within a space, an idea, within a character paradigm. You know, if you're a bad guy, you have to kind of act like a bad guy, or else the role play sort of breaks down, right? And that's really the point of D&D alignment. And there we go. So there's the Michael Strange, more chaotic than good, but definitely on the good spectrum. And anyway, so yeah, okay. So hang on to that idea. We're going to get back to it and talk about the science of this in a second. But again, psychic signatures. I'm calling this alignment resonant theory. And how weird does this get? Oops. It gets weird enough that my mic keeps dropping down. But anyway, so that's what's on my mind tonight. So we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor. I'll come back with some of the science on this and read you a little bit more from the write-up. Like I said, if you guys are interested in more of these ideas, do check out the write-ups. The link is going to be in the description down below. This one's very good. And many of them are, they're not all perfect, but there's a stinker once in a while. But usually this stuff is pretty good and has additional reading and information and ideas that we can talk about together. So I do recommend you check that out if you have not yet. But be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. I got to fix my mic, and I'll pull up some science stuff and read you a little bit from this blurb, because this blurb is very good. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute. Do not go anywhere. This one is brought to us by Human Inspiration. Shout out Ray K and the amazing fam she's got making amazing music. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so straight from the write-up. Now, this is where I get a little less rambling, a little more to the point. When we peer into the realms of consciousness, we find patterns recurring throughout history, patterns that ancient wisdom, traditions, and modern role-playing games alike have attempted to map. The alignment system of Dungeons & Dragons, good, evil, law, and chaos may be more than mere game mechanics. These designations could represent fundamental frequencies that permeate reality itself. Consider consciousness in this aspect as a vibrational field. Each being emits a unique signature composed of various harmonic patterns. Some resonate strongly with order and structure, or law in this case, others with spontaneity and freedom, or chaos in the other case. Some harmonize with compassion and creation, or the good side, others with destruction and self-interest, the evil side, okay? Now think of it as that vibrational field, not just with people, but then in the larger space of what this looks like as a society. Groups and subgroups and in-groups and out-groups and all the infighting of all the spaces. Is it that there's these energy signatures that just don't play well together? You know what I mean? Anyway, so these aren't just moral judgments in this capacity imposed from outside, but intrinsic qualities of consciousness itself. The psychic resonance of a being's core nature. Like attracts like across the cosmos, as they say. A strongly lawful individual naturally gravitates toward ordered environments and structured thinking. Their psychic signature creates harmonic resonance with similar patterns in reality, okay, as a way to describe it. Places also, this is where this starts to get weird, places themselves may also hold alignments. Think of Las Vegas, for instance. It's one of those interesting places that, I moved here for an obvious reason. I've talked about it quite a bit in the past, but there's a lot of reasons why you would live in Sin City, right? Because it is known as Sin City. But it's not like you think, right? I'm not here to be some debaucherous a-hole. I'm here because I like the weather. I live in a nice spot. I'm way away from all the chaos down near downtown and whatnot. But also it's different from where I came from. And I think that's an important aspect of it. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But anyway, so the places themselves, so think of it this way. So certain locations on Earth seemingly amplify specific frequencies. And you could probably suggest in that case that Las Vegas probably amplifies like a chaos factor a little bit, okay? Just because people come here, they're looking to let their hair down, looking to freak out, get their freak on, whatever the heck's going on. Yeah, Mr. Mission Control, I see you. Yeah, sure, buddy. No, I'm a Boy Scout, I promise. Anyway, so it definitely has a frequency amplification aspect to this city. But there are, quiet parts just like every city. There's loud parts like every city. Anyway, so So in this case, so think of it not just as like Las Vegas and that energy sort of always permeating with chaos and, you know, the good and evil of these frequencies, whatever they are. Again, don't think in human terms, think in frequency terms of what this stuff is and what it gives off and how we sort of absorb it from our environment. And not just that, what about places like ancient sites? So ancient sacred sites, for instance, often might exhibit these powerful, lawful good resonances where, areas of historic trauma might retain chaotic evil vibrations. Like we've talked about the Battle of Gettysburg, and there's a lot of that type of stuff, kind of that residual haunting effect. But I wonder if it goes deeper than that. And again, at scale, is more zeitgeist, more noosphere, is more, I don't know, like always shifting alignments that are creating these gray zones in between. And is it possible this stuff can come together in some capacity? I don't really know. But anyway, so this might explain why some locations feel inherently peaceful or disturbing, regardless of their physical attributes. You know, you're in a place and you kind of feel spooked by it for no real way you can put your finger on, but you're just like, let's get out of here. There's bad juju. And you go, right? It's weird. Anyway. So the vibrational theory of alignment offers insight into supernatural phenomena, hauntings, of course. So entities existing outside our conventional reality spectrum may be attracted to compatible resonances. And this gets into that Archon stuff, right? We're setting up the battle of the Archons, says Tom DeLong. Shout out to Jay and Project Unity. We talked about that a little bit when I was on his show there. But if there are entities, let's say aliens, or dimensional, or you name it, right? As usual, you can think of that 1,000 different ways. But what if their energy attraction is to us, and not just us, but us in particular places? That's the weird part. So anyway, so a location or person strongly emanating, let's say, chaotic vibrations might unconsciously summon beings that resonate at similar frequencies. This provides a framework for understanding hauntings, possessions, and other anomalous encounters, for instance, okay? Again, just theory crafting here, and a great time to drop all the disclaimers because there is no truth to be found here. That's not what we do. We talk about possibilities. We talk about ideas. We prove that you can be nice to each other on the internet while disagreeing with each other. There's a lot of things that we're doing and creating that vibe tribe that we've been doing for a great many years, but truth is not one of them. As I always say, truth is a slippery fish, and it's one of those things that we need to be very careful of because it is polarizing. Because truth is a perspective, in my opinion. Shout out Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher kings of old. Anyway, so in this context, a location or person strongly, I just read that. Okay, so entanglement, do we get to that? Maybe. So let's add that to the mix. So quantum entanglement might serve as this particular mechanism of attracting, well, let me just read it. At the subatomic level, particles once connected remain instantaneously linked across any distance. Perhaps consciousness operates similarly. Beings and places with aligned psychic signatures forming quantum bonds across dimensional barriers. Meaning, I guess if you get a little bit of the chaos in you, can you ever shake it? Does it ever become something you can kind of really work out of yourself? I don't know. It's a strange thing. But anyway, there's a bunch of good stuff on the right up here. But so anyway, the ancient concept of magical correspondences, the notion that certain herbs, crystals, colors, and sounds resonate with specific energies, aligns perfectly within this larger framework. These aren't superstitions, but intuitive recognitions of how consciousness interacts with matter through resonant frequency. And again, you know me. I can see look at something and see it a lot of different ways. But this one to me seems to stick because, like I said, those resonant energies is something we're dealing with all the time. And not just in the capacity of all the time. I think it's things that are, it's happening to us. We're being manipulated by these things. And if you go further down the write-up, there's some stuff in there about maybe being controlled in these ways through, psychotronic weaponry and things like that, which, we talked a little bit about in the last show as well. But it's strange. It's a very strange thing how this kind of comes together and makes you scratch your head. Now, here's the weird part. So let's get to some of the science on this. So, So human consciousness operates through neurochemical processes that generate electrical oscillations. Just going to fill in some blanks here for myself and people that don't know. Detectable via electroencephalography. I think that's how you say it, the EEG. These oscillations, beta between 13 and 30 hertz, alpha between 8 and 12 hertz, theta between 4 and 7 hertz, and delta between 0.5 and 3 hertz correlate with maybe these distinct cognitive states, from focused alertness and beta to deep meditation theta and the dreamless sleep of delta. Okay, so our brains are always doing these different things depending on what we're doing and how locked in or restful or whatever, mindful we are, right? But recent studies propose that these frequencies do not operate in isolation, but form interference patterns akin to binaural beats, where the differential between hemispheric oscillations creates perceptual and cognitive effects. For instance, alpha-theta cross-frequency coupling has been linked to creative insight, while beta-gamma synchronization underpins logical reasoning. And I said I've tried this recently. Like, I'm not sure how much I want to get into this because you don't know what kind of frequencies you're tapping into, right? This stuff always freaks me out, trying to actually biohack yourself in some way. But is this Opera browser called Opera Air, and it has these things built in, and you could kind of go, well, I want maximum productivity, and you hit a thing, and it starts playing a tone. It's like, I'd play it, but I don't want to hypnotize anybody out there. But it's weird, right? It's completely strange. But anyway, so in this sense, okay, now think of it in terms of law and chaos and the Dungeons and Dragons, the alignment and resonance theory. So philosophical constructs of law and chaos map strikingly onto the neurodynamic spectrum of cortical criticality. Lawful alignment, characterized by adherence to structure and communal codes, may correlate with high beta oscillations, or 18 to 30 hertz, associated with rule-based decision-making and error detection. Conversely, chaotic alignment, emphasizing individuality and spontaneity, aligns with theta-gamma coupling observed during divergent thinking and REM sleep. Okay? See what I mean? So now, sort of mixing these ideas, and basically the question is for you guys is, how much does this affect us? How much can we detect this? How much do you think has been used against us in sort of a weaponized sense? And do you think it's possible to play like a tone? Just whatever it is, just hit a button, play like this, maybe even not even audible, just some kind of like, what is it, Havana syndrome like tone, and then make everybody grumpy. Like David was describing Magic in the Noise when he called in last time, sort of that being able to do it through a psychic capacity. But what about through an actual tonal resonant? And then make everybody mad, or make everybody sleepy, or make everybody this, or make everybody that. I don't know. And if this type of stuff has been tested, and you bet your bippy it has, just because why wouldn't they have tested this a long time ago and know the secrets of it? Why wouldn't they be using it in a clandestine way now? That's the stuff that's on my mind tonight. A lot of ways to look at this again. So one more thing. So the good evil axis is, as part of this, often framed as altruism versus self-interest, demonstrates unexpected ties to maybe heart-brain coherence. Research on compassionate meditation reveals increased gamma synchrony between the prefrontal cortex and limbic system, coupled with heart rate variability in the 0.1 hertz 10-second range. This coherence resonance may underpin pro-social behavior by harmonizing emotional and cognitive networks. You get what I mean? So is it possible? There's no such thing as order and chaos. There's no such thing as good and evil. There's no such thing as true and false, at least in the philosophical sense. It's all tones. It's all energy, frequency, and vibration. And we're always sort of dancing with this through this human experience. And that's what's on my mind tonight. And like I said, I am calling it, this is something new. This is something that has not been scientifically kind of crawled through just yet. But alignment resonance theory. And who says you can't come up with something cool and interesting by being a Dungeons and Dragons fan? Because of course that's where we started. But how deep does it get? What about auras? What about the vibe tribe? What about knowing intuitively when somebody's just got bad energy? What about knowing when a particular place has bad energy? What is happening with that? And what is with the shifts? And what is with us being able to pick up on it and not really know exactly what it is? It's sort of just the intuitive kind of aspect of, it's time to go. It's time to go. And so, it's time to go. But anyway, it's almost time to go here because we got about a minute left before the break. But we are taking your calls if you want to be part of the conversation tonight. Love to hear your thoughts. That's exactly the point is, does this make some sense? Does it not? What about mixing these ideas? And do you think we're always tuned into this and maybe just blind to it because of modern technology? Yeah. Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Again, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. Come hang out with all the cool kids on the Troubled Minds Discord and come say hi. There's a lot of really great people in there that just hang out and share ideas. And again, we take phone calls on the Discord as well, which we got James Salcedo coming up, Salcedo Paranormal coming up as the first call tonight, just after we come back from the break. And he's on the Discord as well. Come say hi. Come meet these amazing people. Love to hear your thoughts. How weird does it get? And does this make some sense that maybe the human ideas are not human ideas at all? They're just placeholders, shout out Matthew in Colorado, for resonant frequencies we don't have better terms for as yet. And that's what's on my mind tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. One more time, if you want to be part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. We got James coming up and your calls as well. What do you know about this? Does it seem too strange for you or not strange enough? Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Feel that rhythm, check the vibe. In this chaos, we find our stride. Vibrations, they collide. Harmony and chaos, side by side. We're dancing on this cosmic ride. Resonance reflection, universe-wide. You got that fire, you got that flow. Intuition tells us where to go. Patterns forming, feel us grow. In this vibe check, we're in the know. Echoes of the universe, they speak. Truths of good and evil, high and bleak. Vibrations peak. On chaos, swirl unique. In the balance, we find our peak. Trust the energy, embrace the freak. You got that fire, got that flow. Intuition tells us where to go. Patterns forming, feel us grow. In this vibe check. Universe powerful. Feel the waves, odyssey. In this dance, our soul sunlight. You got that fire, you got that flow. Intuition tells us where to go. Patterns forming, feel us grow. In this vibe check, we're in the know. Just fell by, won't you see? Ship is this chaos, our ingredient. You got to have draw vixie. Angst David, sharp collier. It missed one, Nesserine. Dance for nations, can it be sweet and just up? And it's police.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Twitch, Rumble, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could consciousness resonate at frequencies aligned with law, chaos, good, and evil? What if our intuitive vibe checks detect these psychic signatures? Perhaps locations store and amplify these resonance patterns, explaining sacred sites and haunted spaces. Most concerning, what if these alignment frequencies could be technologically weaponized, creating invisible systems of influence that reshape human behavior without detection? And that boils it down awfully nicely. And yes, it is an AI summarization of the entire write-up there, and it is very short. I do like that it's very short, but that's pretty much all of it. And there's a lot there, of course. We're talking chakras, we're talking resonant energies, we're talking about haunted places, we're talking about the vibe check of recognizing when you're just in the wrong place for whatever reason that is. And the question becomes that law, chaos, good, and evil, those might be human terms for resonant frequencies that we don't recognize yet. But suddenly, maybe we'll have like a meter in our pocket or something, or a little beeper on our ear. When you're moving into the wrong vibe space, it'll give you a warning. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a little bit strange to me, but this is one that might fit or might not. Love to hear your thoughts on this. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. James in Michigan. What's up, my man? How are you tonight? And go right ahead.
I'm okay. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Yes, sir. I got your volume a little bit, but you're good to go.
Okay. Yeah, great topic. Just on a level of, you mentioned sounds or tones. And for anyone that doesn't know, I'm legally blind, and so I focus a lot on sounds. And even vibration and all those things, because those I can pick those up better than I can just looking around places. And I've noticed that if there's a lot of sound in a place, if there's a lot of people talking all at once, I don't care for it, even if it's in a cafeteria or a store. Not really store so much, because there's not really always a ton of people talking all in one spot, but just in any kind of a conference, let's say, or a restaurant even, I don't care for that. I mean, I can get through it just fine, but I will only go to those places if I'm going to be with friends or family. I'm not going to go to places like that on my own. And that's not, again, not to say that those are bad necessarily, but I would say, going back to your Dungeons and Dragons analogy, that's just more, I would guess, would be more chaotic. And my ears have learned they don't care for that so much.
Yeah, that's a really fascinating way to put it, because you're more drawn to that, the chaos not draws you, kind of pushes you out of this space. And that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just, let's say, the energy in particular. It is, but it's also sort of the interactions in the space. And if it's too much, I'm with you too. Like I don't do well around a lot of people. Like go down to Las Vegas on Fremont Street, and there's all these people around, and they're all, at certain levels of inebriation or high or who knows. And so it's a chaotic place, and it's not comfortable to be around. You're supposed to be like a happy space, and you're listening to the bands play and all the stuff, but there's all these sketchy people around too. So it's like, is this guy getting too close? He's going to pick my pocket. He's going to pick my pocket. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing too. It's a little bit weird in different places for sure.
Yeah, it can be a room where it's filled mostly with people that are just having fun. But if you get one group that's either just arguing with each other or trying to argue or start fights with everyone else around them, that's not fun. I've been to, so I've mentioned before, my dad and uncle have had a classic rock band now for 50 years, and so over the last 20 years or so, I would go with them sometimes to different jobs that they played in bars, because I'm old enough to do that for the last 20 years. And I've been in there's only been a couple of times I've been around people who, even before they started talking a lot, just based on a few words here or there, I could tell they were itching to get into a fight with a certain person in the room. And just egging them on, and it was not comfortable to be around that, even without nothing really physically happened. But you got that sense of it could, and that was I did not care for that. Luckily, it's only happened a couple times.
Yeah, there's definitely that person that is not satisfied, or maybe a group of people that are not satisfied until something happens, till a fight breaks out, or right, till maximum novelty has been achieved in the moment. And that's not always very good, especially when there are the law and order type folks that are there to kind of just want to have a good time and not be messed with. It's strange. It is energy kind of coming together from just different reality tunnels, as I like to call them. And because I don't know, how do we sort of describe the energy pattern and how we recognize it? Or is it built into us intuition-wise? Is it something we're forgetting because of technology, which we do talk about quite a lot? Is it kind of going into the haunted space of maybe the place itself has a resonant energy? Like, for instance, Fremont Street, like I described, that's downtown Vegas, old Vegas, if you guys don't know. And, during, noon on a Tuesday, the energy is very different than it is like on a, midnight on a Friday night. So there's that energy certainly stays, but it does kind of dissipate, come and go as part of not just the people, but does it stick? And is this haunting? What does this look like? I don't know. I know you've talked quite a bit about this on your show as well with, residual hauntings and energy and this type of thing. But what's your take? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it can depend on the type of location. One thing came up a couple weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago, on one of my Saturday shows with, actually, I think it was one of my Patreon shows, but so it may have been like 4 weeks ago now. Time is weird. Is the idea of haunted bars, haunted restaurants, where there is that energy that's there from all the different people interacting, but also that can draw people or repel people. And it can also do the same thing with other non-physical forces or beings that go to these places to take in the energy there. And sometimes it's taken just the energy from all around, all kinds of people. And other times it's more of a haunting where they focus on one person, and you notice that person start acting in different ways than they may normally act. So just a little side subject there, but yeah, I think energy is just all around us, and I think, and of course we have energy, and I think there's always it's always changing in one way or another, and sometimes it can change for better. Other times it can go the opposite way. I've even been in places where it's not a bad feeling I get, but even when there's not a lot of people there, if it's a place where a lot of people will meet from time to time, the place will still feel like it has a bunch of people in it. I'm thinking right now of hospitals, actually. I've been in hospitals a couple times over the years to visit people. And I don't know how many other people ever felt this, but the whole place, just wall to wall, always felt crowded to me. Like there was more people there than what you could see with your eyes. And I don't mean to automatically drag this towards the haunted places topic, but it is, and when you get down to it, it is still energy and consciousness. And so who knows who or what I was sensing there.
Yeah, that's actually in the write-up. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it. The idea of not just bars, hospitals, mental institutions. We've talked about that quite a bit on the show as well, how they just, because of the trauma aspect of it, tend to be way more haunted because of that chaotic energy. The trauma, sort of just been there forever, and even resonating against and with each other, different types of traumas and energies. It's a wild thing. But battlefields came up in the write-up a little bit. Haunted museums, bars like you're describing, and of course hospitals. And that's the one I think probably everybody notices. There's something just off about a hospital itself when you're talking in terms of energy. It's strange. It's really strange. Like how would you define that? Shout out to the folks out there. Love to hear your thought on that. Why is it like that? And why do we just kind of know it? Like you could kind of close your eyes and even still sense that energy around you. It's a very, very strange thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I did not get to listen to the write-up today. I was listening to another show. So that's funny. But there are certain kinds of places I talk about all the time where they seem to, because of the amount of people that are coming and going from them, like you mentioned, hospitals, bars or restaurants, any kind of mental health facility that dates far enough back. Hotels are another one. There are so many reports of so many hotels out there being haunted. So yeah, all that connects. But I think it's an energy thing, but it is also a sound and vibration thing. And I think, and the thing too with that is, I'm sure there are people that like that sound, that kind of dynamic where there's all kinds of people in the same space talking. I'm sure there's people that like that. So I don't necessarily, that's part of why I don't think that's badness automatically. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it's nice when it's pleasant, right? When it's not too much. There's a such thing as too much, like a stadium is too much, with all the people screaming and stuff. That's a little too much, but I mean, it's still like an exuberant energy. And that's an interesting part too. So let's say during, let's just pick on Taylor Swift and say during, a massive really large concert where everybody's really tuned into the vibe and they're just so happy to be there, and they really love the songs and everybody's singing along, and they've been waiting for this moment for like a year, and they bought their tickets early and spent a lot of money on it. You know what I mean? There's like this exuberant energy that even though, you know, there may be some darkness in the crowd and everybody struggles with something, that this exuberance kind of washes it out into this one, what would you call it? Like a transcendent energy space that everybody kind of, and it sticks with you forever even. It's one of those things, you know, I saw a band when I was young 20 something. We were like right there, like 2 rows, literally second row, staring up at the stage like they're almost sweating on you. It was like an old legend band. And it's like, a friend of mine went, and he's like, when we left, he's like, man, that was like literally like a religious experience. You know, we're California young people at that time, not really religious at all, but there are certain moments that kind of make you feel sort of like transcendent, even though it seems frivolous to say a rock concert is like that or a Taylor Swift concert is like that. But certainly the jubilant energy seems to wash out, even with all the noise and stuff, wash out the darkness a little bit. It's weird. What do you think is happening there?
I think that totally makes sense, just from being from a family that has played music for many years now, decades now. That whenever the song is something that almost everyone likes, and you know the people playing it or singing it or both do really well at it, there's a feeling that you get from that is amazing, and I think part of that is memories of previous times hearing that song or previous experiences people had while they were hearing that song. I think that's a connection there. But also, yeah, I think that works. And I think there can be other songs, you know, we all have our songs and genres that we like and then don't like so much. And I think that's okay because we're all different. And, but the effects can be of one kind of music can be completely positive to one person, and then maybe completely the opposite to another.
Yeah, just the vibe of the tunes, like that weird tune we just played during the break. That was a weird one. Let me read this to you, James. This is fantastic. It kind of fits into exactly what we're talking about. This is the next part of the write-up. So think of it this way. We're talking about psychic signatures. I'm calling it the physics of alignment resonant theory, which is new. Nobody's discussed this. It's not a thing yet, okay, because it's based on Dungeons and Dragons. Anyway, so reality might function like an elaborate symphony, with beings and places playing notes that harmonize or clash according to their intrinsic nature. Our experiences of attraction and repulsion, comfort and discomfort, may simply be our conscious recognition of these harmonic and dissonant interactions. The practical implications, of course, are profound. By understanding our dominant frequency patterns, we might consciously redirect our resonance, attracting different experiences and entities, aka people. This isn't mind control, but psychic tuning, shifting our consciousness to vibrate in harmony with desired reality patterns. Back to Tesla. Frequency, energy, vibration. If you could tune that in somehow, think the Cerebro in your pocket to kind of tune your vibration all the time, keep it optimal. Maybe, just maybe, it changes lives, entire, like generations maybe. I don't know. What's your take there? Pretty wild stuff, huh?
It makes me think about people throughout time who, you know, it's said of them that they had a huge following. And I'm not talking about in the social media way that you think of today necessarily, but people that had, you know, you hear about that phrase, a magnetic personality, that kind of thing. People that became major parts of history because of what they did and what they inspired others to do around them. I wonder if, and again, going back to sound and vibration and all that, I wonder if that can explain that also as well for just major figures throughout history that have large groups of people that really were interested in them and what they were doing and tried to help with that and continue that cause later on, even after the person was gone.
Exactly. This is a troubling one. You know, we talk about troubled minds, of course, but this is one of those ones that if this stuff is going on all the time around us and affecting us in ways that we can never really actually quantify, it's just sort of an intuition aspect here, a bad vibe there, you know, sort of a jubilant energy here. But if this can actually be tuned in, and I think it can actually, that's why I'm talking about it, because I think that's the next level of science when we get down to us sort of as energy creatures, okay, at the basic level, is that this turns into being able to dial that stuff in. And again, attracting your tribe. We've talked about this in the past, the vibe tribe, and why certain groups kind of get together, different frequencies, different ideas even, but sometimes it doesn't really matter. You can disagree with people and still kind of be like, these are my people. Just because maybe, I don't know, there's a lot of ways to look at it. And I do wonder if it's, as usual, being manipulated against us. That becomes my tinfoil tingling as part of the troubled mind aspect of this, is that if they're actually using this against us, then how do we counteract it? I guess we'd have to be able to detect it first in that capacity. So what's your take on that? And I ask you a follow-up for whatever you say there. Do you think they are using this against us? Or do you think that's not yet been conceived of, or let's say deployed into the wild?
Yeah, I don't know if it wouldn't surprise me if it was already figured out, but if it's not, it still, I think, can happen. I mentioned in the chat earlier that there was one point where I used to listen to mainstream media a lot, just the news. And years ago, back when I was a kid or even teenager or whatever, I never noticed anything from it. I never felt anything about it one way or the other. But this last 10 years or so, around there, I've just noticed I don't like listening to it. It always seems to be focused on negative events, on the worst possible situations out there, and or making things look like they're the worst thing that could happen out there. Just a lot of focus on fear and violence, just all the time. And when I stopped listening to it as much, because now I rarely ever do listen to it, I noticed I felt a lot better. And
that.
And it's so funny because yes, it's the news, but it's at this point I don't think it really is exactly the news as it used to be. Because like I said, it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel bad when I was a kid, and I know part of that could be just because I was just a kid at the time, but still. It's still sound, and I've still always been sensitive to that. And I didn't get that feeling from it when I was a kid, versus when I got to be older, in my 30s or so, I started noticing, wow, I don't like the feeling of any of this.
Yeah, it is a strange thing. And clearly that fits into, we've talked about this in the past, the MK Ultra for the masses, where we're supposed to be uncomfortable when we're watching the news. If it bleeds, it leads. We're supposed to be in a constant state of fear because then we're easier to manipulate. I mean, that's basic psychology. And so it's weird how, you've got your own personal example, evidence of this, where you're like, I turned it off and I just feel better now. So how do you turn off a bad vibe? Here's another one too, as part of it, that they kind of got past the mind control part of this. But listen to this. So political and social conflicts, like what we're describing with the news and the ideologies and all the things, might represent fundamentally different frequencies with incompatibilities rather than mere ideological differences. So two beings strongly resonate with opposed alignments would naturally experience friction at the psychic level. And is that what we're dealing with here? Psychic friction in some capacity, or all the capacities, because it's like a whirlwind all the time, and we don't really know. It's weird, man. It's weird how all this kind of comes together or doesn't. But yeah, if you got anything on that, if not, it's cool. I know I'm twisting your arm here.
No, it's fine. I think with the way that information is managed and manipulated these days, to where it's not as easy to find as you would like, or you have to sort of almost listen to both sides of any argument or any topic online, or on TV these days, to get any information out of it. It's who has the time for all that, as we've said before. And so if you're just focused on one source, one side, whatever, then that is, I think, a way to get your mind to resonate with that one side. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that's something that's happening too. And I don't know. It took me many years to realize that I didn't like what either side was saying, and I don't really support either, any political party at this point. So, not to get into politics, but notice I'm saying there, I don't like any of them.
Yeah,
I don't support one or the other.
And I think that's the thing too, that the frequencies that they present, I think are supposed to, even if you're like an adherent, I think you're supposed to hate it anyway. So you hate it, but then you just hate the other side more, right? I think this is maybe what we're dealing with here. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was kind of cooked into not just the mainstream media, the MK Ultra for the masses stuff we always talk about, but then maybe that they've recognized that there is a vibe, like an actual vibe signature of ideology, and then use it against us, use it to manipulate us. It wouldn't surprise me a single bit. Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to consider. And of course, I like that term psychic friction, because recognize when you come into a space and you realize, well, this isn't my vibe, whatever that looks like, right? Maybe you tell me, right? Everybody's going to be a little bit different on what that means, but it may not even be that, it's downtown and you're not used to going downtown, obviously that's going to be one thing, but then there's a whole other part of it does it seem dangerous, or right? I mean, this type of stuff going on, and is it full of sports fans? You know what I mean? Nothing against sports fans, but you know what I mean. I was going to say, political types, but that doesn't make any sense, does it? Like we're going into a bar and having like a right wing or a left wing vibe. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, sports fans. Anyway, not to crap on sports fans, I'm one myself, but you get what I mean. It's weird. It's a weird thing. And why is it so cooked into us that we recognize it sometimes, but we don't recognize it every time? I think eventually we'll sort of evolve, at least technologically, into this space where we recognize it every damn time. And wouldn't that be really sort of the personal Shangri-La if you can recognize energy as it gets to you, the bad energy, and just not just tune it out, but avoid it entirely? I guess that would be, well, maybe where we're headed. Let's hope, because I don't know. I do a good job kind of just staying away from places that kind of ruin my vibe. And I seem to be doing okay with my vibe most days. I don't have a good day every day, but it's weird, right? If you could actually tune that in and have it be the best for you all the time, then, well, welcome to that abundance of technology. That's the abundance I want. Abundance of happy people. Absolutely. About a minute left or so. You got anything else, sir?
Well, yeah, I agree. I think that's a thing that people will develop over time, even with or without technology. But I could imagine technology being incorporated into sensing that, and maybe again trying to avoid those kinds of places that don't fit with the person. So yeah. Also, I will sit in and talk with you again later if there's time, and go from there.
You were the best. Appreciate you very much. You know him, you love him. That's, of course, James Salcedo, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, a dear friend, and the glue of the show. See how he's always Johnny on the spot if we need somebody, or he'll defer if we get lots of calls, because he's a radio pro now. And by the way, check out his podcast if you have not. Check out his books. Please go buy those if you have not. His latest one is very inexpensive, $10 paperback, $5 on Kindle, and troubledminds.org/friends. Just scroll down. It'll say James here. He's got a link tree. And just click that and go follow him in all the places. At the very least, go follow him in all the places that are free. And then please consider buying his books, because, like I said, this is a labor of love together, building this, meeting amazing people. Let's help the amazing people that make this show go and make these ideas flow together in that vibe tribe space that's we've been lucky enough to build together. So please, one more time, Salcedo Paranormal is the name of the show. Salcedo Paranormal Experiences is the name of his latest book. You spell that SALSIDO space paranormal, or of course troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down and find James. Please go follow him at all the places. Appreciate that very much. Thanks, James, for helping out as you always do. You make it a ton easier on me, and I appreciate that quite a lot. Let's push this button right there. How about that one? All right, tonight we're talking, what is this? What do you guys think? Alignment resonance theory. Does it make sense? The good and evil, chaos and order are human constructs that are so flawed, they're abstract enough to where we could actually define them instead of energy, frequency, and vibration. Does that make sense? Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Be right back. More on the way. Nobody on the line. Love to hear your thoughts. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight we're talking psychic signatures. I'm calling it alignment resonance theory, based on, of course, Dungeons & Dragons alignment. Who says nothing good ever came out of D&D? Hey, it only encompasses every story ever told. However, this is a little different, okay? Because we're talking not just alignments as good and evil, chaos and order. When you look at alignments from the human perspective and sort of that vibe tribe aspect or a vibe check, it seems like we have that intuition that kind of draws in or repels energy. And maybe these ideas of order and chaos, good and evil, are energy themselves and not the human constructs we've given them. And I wonder what that looks like. I didn't kind of run through the paces. It's just an idea that came to my mind right this moment. But I wonder what that looks like when you start to spin that into like the Joseph Campbell stuff or the Carl Jung stuff. I wonder if they've sort of, you mix Campbell and Jung with Tesla, like what kind of ideas flow out of that? Pretty wild. Anything on that, James? Herschel put his hand down. I'm not sure he's going to jump in here or not, but if you got anything on that, James, go ahead and we'll see if I can get Herschel in just a sec here.
Yeah, I can, like I said, I like the idea that there can be things that that are not necessarily evil that draw some people in, but then push others away. In terms of the feelings they get from them, because I think that's probably, and then not to say that there's no such thing as places that have feel evil or whatever. I do think there are some places that get that feeling, but I also think that sometimes if we're not used to a place that has a ton of energy, if we're not used to being in that kind of environment, we can also sort of perceive that as being evil, even if it's not necessarily that way. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that. But yeah, I think that energy can be different, and in places, I think places can also. And we've talked about this before. I know on my show, I'm not sure about so much here. Maybe we have. Maybe it's been a while. The materials that buildings are made out of can also contain. Yeah, we have talked about here. I'm just thinking as I'm going here. They can be better at containing energy, and even the wires and electrical systems in homes, there's times where those seem to have almost a life of their own, where they act in different ways than you would expect based on the construction of the home or the places where the wires are put, all those things. We know that electromagnetic fields can generate paranormal events, or they can make it seem like there's something paranormal going on. So, and that's two sides of the same coin there that people can experience in all kinds of places, not just homes.
Yeah, and our mind kind of goes to different areas of that, kind of maybe to that primordial fear space with different tones and technologies, and that's a thing too that's been actually tested. That there are sort of fear tones that kind of bring you to that haunted feeling. It's wild stuff. Let's get to this. So back to the biology part of this. Now this is super cool because I'm not a scientist, as you guys know. I'm more of a daydreamer that likes to talk. But instead, with the new AI tools, so Perplexity has been incredible. You can put the idea into Perplexity, tell it to deep research. You get like 3 to 5 per day. I don't know what it is. One's enough. But then you tell it, okay, deep dive this. It takes 10 minutes or whatever, but then it comes back with all this stuff. Let me read just this bit. I see Herschel, 1 second. I'm going to read vibe checks. It's one paragraph. Check this out. So the neurobiology of social resonance, which is at the heart of this. So that vibe check, that instinctive assessment of others' moral valence, likely exploit the brain's mirror neuron system and theta gamma phase amplitude coupling. It's got sources for all this stuff. When encountering another individual, the brain unconsciously synchronizes to their neurodynamic state via cross-frequency coupling, creating a resonance loop that facilitates empathy or distrust. This process aligns with observations that chaotic neutral characters in role-playing scenarios trigger erratic gamma bursts in observers' temporoparietal junctions. I don't even know what that is. Whereas lawful good individuals induce stable alpha coherence. Seems like we're mixing worlds here. And I absolutely love the fact that this is possible now, because you can give it a wild idea, give it a wild premise, and have it kind of crank out and cite scientific papers where this stuff is kind of makes some sense. Yeah, love it. You guys are the best. Thanks for being part of this. We'll get back to James momentarily. Thanks, Herschel, for coming back. He had a connection issue. Herschel in Colorado. No, it's not Colorado. Herschel in Arizona. What's up, brother? Commercial Herschel. How are you tonight? And go right ahead, sir. Hello.
Hey, I hope my connection's okay. If I start breaking up, okay. Not a good connection or what?
I got you. You actually just, there was like a pause before you said hi. You're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. If it starts to break up, then I can try later or just try calling in or something. But, yeah, the thing of the good and the evil and all of that, it's like the first thing that came to my mind was the thing of like when I'm writing something, and we talked a couple of weeks ago or a week or so ago about like, things that are more on the dark side of things, and sometimes when I'm writing, that stuff shows up, and I don't consider it negative, like because I'm releasing it, like it's cathartic in a sense. Like if I'm dishonest about that and try to suppress it, I think that's more negative than releasing it. And I find that people who are who force everything always being positive, that it's forced and it's not genuine. You know what I mean? So that's where things get kind of not relative, but it kind of redefines what the good part is. Like if you've got something in your subconscious mind and it seems kind of weird or dark or something, and you let it out, that's a good thing that you've released it. But if you're always just trying to be Mr. Positive all the time, that's disingenuous and that's negative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow you. Is it there is a natural progression to how we do things and how you kind of quantify that or stick with it, or yeah, but I think you can conquer it too. I don't know. It's weird. I'm with you. It's hard to wake up on the right side of the bed every single day. However, I don't know. Like I've kind of found a place where I mostly kind of do anymore, and it's not because don't come from a dark place. I didn't have problems. I didn't have troubles. Anything. I think because this has become a massive therapy aspect for me, just being able to speak my mind with so many amazing people. I think because I like the energy of this place, of where I'm at. There's a lot happening that's good, and so I don't know. Is it a lucky streak? Yeah. Maybe. Is it training yourself to be a certain way? Maybe. But you're right. It's impossible to be like that all the time. And I'm lying to you if I say I'm like 100% into this every single time I'm here. It's impossible. Right. Sometimes I feel like I just want to take a nap, but you kind of power through it and do it anyway, right? Because it's a commitment I've made to you guys. It's a commitment you've made to me to come listen and hang out. So it's you let a bunch of people down if you be lazy. So there's all kinds of things in play always, but I get what you mean. There's a disingenuous aspect of sort of trying to manipulate that energy in a dishonest way. I follow you 100%.
Yeah, I think the honesty overall is the more positive aspect of things. Also, as somebody, as many people have, who's been through dark things and who's come out of something really dark, like I feel like there's protection. Like there's an innate protection that I have, that I've been protected from things that are not positive. So I don't have a fear of allowing darkness to emerge. You know what I mean? It doesn't scare me. I'm not afraid of it. I've conquered it. So to release it is never a negative thing. It's good to get it out there. It's good to get it out of your aura space and just let it be out there. Get it out.
Yeah, I feel you 100% on that. It's like some of these shows. It's like I can't get an idea out of my mind, and then we talk about it, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. so thank you for that. Like I said, it is this level of therapy, even though it's not a good idea sometimes. I'm not perfect, and so it ends up becoming, okay, whew, thank goodness that one's gone. Now we can move on to something else, something probably better. And I'm with you. It's I think it gets better when you stop being scared. and that means a lot of things. And you're spot on with that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, fear, the fear thing, not being scared. Yeah, for sure. Fear is, I think some people think hate is the opposite of love. I'm not sure. I think fear is the opposite of love. I'm pretty sure about that.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild. I love it. What about
but that's pretty much. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what about the difference? So you're defining, the we're talking human emotions here, and you're defining them as opposites in different creative ways, your lived experience, and of course as a creative, a writer, and all the rest. But what if we're missing the forest for the trees, and none of this stuff? It's all bad, meaning it's clumsy human definitions that make no damn sense, and it's just like it's when our minds are rotating it, or kind of taking in energy at this many hertz or whatever, and then it can be fully manipulated for not just us but for society, or even small groups, or that maybe this is how they do cults and all the rest of it. What's your take on the resonant energy aspect of the good and the evil and the things that you just said just a second ago as well?
Okay, yeah, you just broke up, but I think I got the gist of it. Like what James was talking about with politics, with the two political parties, like, and what you said, it's like you hate it, but you hate the other one worse. It's like you're in a hole and you can't get out. I'm the same way. I don't buy any of it. It's very frustrating, and it kind of, in a sense, to me, it comes back to this whole thing that we're I don't think that. I think it's just going to be collapse. It's just going to collapse in on itself, and nobody's going to win.
Yeah, that's where this leads. It is sort of the endless spiral into oblivion, because none of them have good answers. It's all, not to get political, but you know exactly what I mean. They're right. Both sides are right when they complain about the other side. Both sides are bad, but they still defend one of them though. It's like, really?
Oh yeah. That's the only time they tell the truth, is when they're exposing the crimes of the other team.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just it's not going to work out.
Nope, absolutely not. We're by the way, we're still day whatever. We're still waiting for the Epstein files. They said they released and didn't come. Speaking of that type of stuff, hey, if nobody gets arrested, there's no consequences. Am I right? Just saying.
All right.
Just saying. Anyway, I don't know how we devolved into that. Okay, but anything else on this?
Okay, well, that's pretty much all I had. So I just thought, no, my phone's breaking up so bad that we're talking over each other.
Perfect. I appreciate the call. You were the best. Thanks again for popping in. Thanks for being a good friend and inspiring all of us all the time.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Have a great night. That's Herschel in Arizona. Again, commercial Herschel. You know him, you love him. Been a good part of a good friend, a big part of the show for a long time now, and always writing stories and sharing them with us, and amazing ideas. It's interesting too, right? The mind of the writer. There's definitely something magical about the creative person that can do magical things. They can kind of see the world differently through the lens of art, through the lens of writing and these other things. But before I ramble on a little bit further here, please go give Herschel a follow. Commercial Herschel, search it. You'll find his Substack. He's got a podcast. It's called Easytopian. He rebranded it to that because it's a little easier to remember. I can remember it now. I couldn't remember the other one, even though I said it like 100 times. I still can't remember it. So it was a good rebrand in my opinion. Check it out. Easytopian is the name of his podcast. Scroll down, troubledminds.org/friends. Follow Herschel. It's alphabetical right there. Over on the right side. Click it. Go follow him in all the places, and buy his books. He's got a new book that's came out recently, his short stories, flash fiction, that he's still doing. That he was waking up at the crack of dawn, and the first thing coming out of his creative body and mind was a story. He was kind of forcing himself to maybe do that dream space. What's it called? The liminal space coming out of the dream realm, and then being creative almost right out of the gate when you wake up. And he did flash fiction for 30 days, and then it turned into a short book, or a short story book. So please go check that out. James, anything on that? And then I got some other stuff to get to, of course.
Yeah, great call from Herschel. And I tell you what, that I've said before, that doing your whatever creative work you do, first thing when you get up is it does work. I really have to thank Herschel for sharing that idea, because I did that for a while as well. I still do it with my research a lot of times. And I got a lot of words written in this novel that I have been working on for a while. I got a good, I don't know, 5,000-6,000, probably more. I'm not remembering now exactly, but I got all that written in like a few weeks. You know, it really does work. But yeah, I do agree with the letting out, sort of being honest about things. I would say I always joke about this, which is that my I'm always grumpy, but I try not to be grumpy with anybody else because it's my own physical discomfort that makes me grumpy. But of course, I still, every once in a while, I will still talk about it when I need to, and it does help. And I don't like it, but it does help. And so yeah. Also, there was a comment in the chat earlier about apartments from Axie. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Asking about if apartments can have energy and contain energy, and I think yes, they can, especially if they've been around for decades, because that's a lot of people coming and going over time. Even if it's not from the same apartment, even if someone lives there decades, there's multiple apartments in the same building, then you're going to have people coming and going the whole time. And I kind of made that comment in the chat that, apartments are basically just long-term hotels. And hotels have tons of people coming and going from them all the time. And whatever happens, whatever good or bad happens, there's still energy that comes from that and goes into that space.
Yeah. You're talking about hotels. Vegas is full of them. and I got to wonder if bed bugs hold resonant energy and pass it on to the next folk that come in. I'm just being stupid now, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's weird. So the comment is from Ioxy in the chat, says that lots of people have come and gone around here. You can feel them move in, talking about apartments and sort of that space. And I think that's completely true, right? When it's like a quiet energy or like a malevolent energy or whatever, right? And I don't think it has anything to do with the car people drive or the clothes they wear. It's certainly like something emanating off of the people and the family and the whatever. Maybe the weird hours they keep. I can't really be too critical there, but you know what I mean? Because I keep some weird hours. But maybe I'm the vibe dampener on the block. Like, who knows? I mean, I'm always trying to be nice to my neighbors and stuff. They always like run and hide and run inside real fast when I come out. So maybe I'm the weirdo and just don't know it. And I'm having fun and they're scared of me. How amazing would that be?
Well, I always joke that I feel bad for the next person that moves in here because they're going to have a residual haunting of some guy sitting there and just talking, into the night almost every night about random, paranormal stuff. And then they're going to be just like, oh my gosh, will you ever be quiet? And it's gonna be sad.
The insomniac residual energy sticking with you, whoever moves in. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing to consider because, of course, this gets weirder because not just, let's say, we talked about a little bit in the first segment there, but not just, let's say, apartments and feng shui. We talked about sort of the energy flow and this type of stuff. Surely there's got to be some science to that kind of brings this into focus soon. And I think, like I said, like I talk about the quickening all the time, and once we're able to measure these energy signatures quite a bit better, I think we're going to kind of find this. But the whole idea of that haunting, as you're describing, is sort of not really a haunt. I mean, would your energy, James, haunt somebody? I'm not so sure about that, but
yeah, haunting it's become a popular term, but and it's become a popular term for something negative. But I don't use it in that way. I just use it to mean, again, energy or consciousness of other people or other beings from other points in time that is still in a location. And but then, if you just start with that, people don't always know what you're talking about or get an idea of what you're talking about. So I do use certain words, we do use certain words to describe that, even if they have become other things in popular culture, like hauntings.
Yeah, certainly. And then it gets even more weird, like I was describing there, when you start to go to these places that are really, possibly haunted, like maybe Stonehenge. Like I'd love to have. Actually, that's a good question. Have you ever seen or heard of anybody doing like a ghost hunt around Stonehenge or something like that? I mean, that seems speaking of like not just human resonant energy, but a very ancient space where maybe they had, dare we say sacrifices, or who knows what was going on there thousands of years ago. But that type of stuff, has anybody done like a Stonehenge ghost hunt? Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of people having experiences around Stonehenge and similar sites, anomalous experiences with sounds and seeing lights and things like that. So I don't know if there's ever been, again, like an actual team of paranormal investigators that went there. I imagine so. It's just that you have to dig around online to find any kind of information about that. It's not going to be, it's not going to be put out there by the mainstream media. Again, keep on bringing that up, but it's true. It's not going to be mentioned a lot of places. So, but yeah, I've heard of that, and so many places. Even we were talking about the pyramids in Egypt the other day. I've found reports of people having anomalous experiences around the pyramids. I'm sure just about any major object that has been around for decades, centuries, whatever, especially centuries, you're going to have some kind of energy left there. And some people may pick up on it, others may not. And those are the variables that make it hard to, or maybe even almost impossible to scientifically prove anything paranormal or anomalous, because it's, everyone's different, and conditions in an area with energy and all that and weather can change over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder too how much of that kind of cooks in over the long time, sort of like the epochs of humanity, and maybe you go to the Dark Ages or something. Imagine like the actual misery and the human resonant energy that was kind of just everywhere at that point. Not a lot of happiness going around at all, and so that has to leave some kind of, in my opinion, if this human energy is real, it would have to leave some kind of psychic stain kind of over the land, over Europe or whatever, right? I mean, these different places that had the battlefield like Gettysburg, like I said earlier, that we talked about. But then in the other sense of like a famine or misery, or, even a civilization wiped off the earth by some kind of cataclysm or war, I mean, that psychic stain must be fierce. And well, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a word here, but it's not going to make any sense. So I'll think about it more before I just make up a word. Even though I do like to do that. But anything on that? I got something to read if you don't.
Well, just real quick, places, like old castles and fortresses, all the things. If you look up ghost stories for like the Tower of London, I mean, there's entire documentaries about those kinds of places. TV stations have made entire documentaries on the hauntings of, castles and all that. That's a whole subject. And I mean, most of what I've seen about those kinds of hauntings, those kinds of experiences people have there, it is residuals of traumatic experiences that people had way back when.
Yeah, which is, all of this is incredibly strange. And I do think, like a curse, what's up a time with Mr. Inocencio, the comedian I see there, said like a curse. It is like a curse, like that psychic stain. It's a strange thing. So, okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and love to hear your thoughts on this. Again, this is a call-in show. You're welcome. Everybody's welcome. Like I said, all you got to do is just be nice to each other, and let's hear your ideas on it. But we're talking basically psychic energy. All right, I'm calling it this new theory. It's brand new. Nobody's talked about this yet. Alignment resonance theory. And are the ideas of good, evil, chaos, and order abstract human terms that make no damn sense because they can be perfectly quantified through some sort of actual resonant energy? You get what I mean? Yeah, it's a little bit out there, but also I think it's probably more accurate than some of our ambiguous human terms. We know when we talk to each other what these terms mean, but I think, just a hunch, I think that maybe the universe speaks in a different language. And of course, energy, frequency, and vibration. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Nobody on the line, if you want to jump in here, come on in, say hi. The water's warm. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. We'll put you on the show. We're talking psychic signatures, alignment resonance theory. And when we come back, we're going to get into some of these sacred sites in haunted spaces. Geomagnetic amplifiers of alignment. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking psychic signatures. I'm calling it alignment resonance theory because think of it this way. Good, evil, chaos, and order are human terms. And, of course, we know what they mean. But they're sort of abstract. Imagine if you could boil it down to an actual frequency, an actual vibration, and then beam it into somebody or share it with somebody to completely change reality itself. Seem too wild? Seem too ridiculous? We're going to get into some other stuff here, of course, because that's what we do regarding maybe some ancient spaces and some other technology as part of this. But I'd love to hear what you think. As usual, this is a call-in show for that exact reason. I'd rather hear your ideas than hear me ramble on into the night. I'm very capable, but it's quite a bit less interesting to me if we don't hear your thoughts. That's the whole point of this. Love to hear what you think. Speaking of which, James, if you got anything, go right ahead, and then we'll go to Joe after that.
No, I'm kind of at a blank right now, so happy to hear Joe and other calls when they come.
You're the best. You and me both. Blanks hit. I can guarantee that. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? Long time no talk. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Perfect. Yeah, I've just been real busy. I was on a vacation last week, and I'm trying to plan for another getaway in May. So it was kind of good timing because I was at the computer looking at Expedia and stuff. So forgive me, I've listened on and off, but the first thing that came to mind was the Schumann resonance, and nobody's really mentioned that. But I know that there's, there's like a Facebook page for that has a Schumann resonance, and they'll put something like the vibration today is quiet. Some other days the vibration is active. I found it kind of funny because with all the changes going on politically, this page would show up in my Facebook. And now all of a sudden it doesn't. It's like the algorithm. And since the only social media I really use is Facebook, I don't know why this particular page called Schumann Resonance today doesn't pop in like it used to. But thinking about energy, definitely. It's funny because you mentioned that test for the Dungeons and Dragons and all that, and I tried to take a political leaning test, and it didn't have like anarchy. It wasn't considered like that. It considered me socially libertarian, but like fiscally kind of conservative, which I thought was kind of odd, but kind of lines up with the way I feel. Do whatever you want, do no harm, but when it comes to the budget, maybe handle a little bit better. But I digress. As far as energy, being chaotic, good, I think I would see myself the same way a lot of us do, probably because we're kind of thinking freely here. We're not, whatever cult this is, we're in a kind of a loose cult. We're in a loosely bound grouping here, for this page or for this show. We all have these open minds, and we don't go with the status quo when you think about it. And I'm preaching to the choir. We all know. Basically, this isn't stuff that maybe we go to the water cooler and talk to people about because they look at us like, we've got 6 heads.
Water coolest talk for exactly that reason. You don't want to get fired at work for bringing up the Schumann resonance and how it actually affects human consciousness. I promise you that probably won't go well. You'll get a call from HR very soon.
But as far as energy, it's true. I see it from the dance floor when I'm manipulating that energy depending on the music that you play. So when you talk about frequencies, you have the Havana syndrome, right? So we know whatever that was happens. We know that there's the LRAD. For those of you who don't know what an LRAD is, a low range acoustic device. So that's for crowd control. And if you're not scared, if it's not getting into your mind mentally, you're certainly going to feel that vibration. So that's more physical affecting the mind, right? So if you feel this deep thump, that physical discomfort will give you some fear or move out of the way. It's not directly shot into your head just yet. although, like you were saying probably earlier, binaural beats, there are certain things that people say help them sleep from the background noise of a fan, or a hum of something. I know that when I, start DJing in the middle of the night, because it's an alternative club, but the room that I'm in, we play top 40, we play kind of everything, but I kind of like to start out with something kind of mellow, but something kind of happy, maybe some Postal Service, certain bands that'll kind of, people may not recognize them, but they'll maybe tap along to the beat. And you can see it at the bar if people are happy, and you can see that energy. And then things will start to ramp up. Or if they're not ramping up, you throw in a different genre. You try to get some music out there that people are going to sing along to, and you'd be surprised. People come up to me and, you could tell they're maybe like 22, 23, 19 years old. Well, who is that? And I'm like, that's the Eurythmics, or that's this, or that's that. But they're out there dancing to it. So they're feeling that energy, they're feeling that vibe. And then the crowd just feeds itself. It's like starting a fire. That's the best I could equate it to. On the other end, we've got churchgoers. And we have churchgoers that put so much energy into, let me talk about the prosperity gospel for what little bit I know. But you literally, I believe this, have people creating their own reality, their own energy. They've grouped it together. Whether that's manipulation or feeding off of other people that just want to be left alone. You have groups of people, and the biggest one I can point to is prosperity gospel. I haven't written any notes and just kind of called in, and it's just coming off the top of my head. But when it comes to energy and manipulation, okay, you just got to look at Project 2025 and who that was done by. A lot of that was done by religious, I don't hope not to offend anybody, by religious fanatics. Okay. I don't think any of us here are fanatics. We're kind of like live and let live. Show me the facts. We really want to see aliens. Some of us might want to be, cybernetic implants. That might be okay. I figure the conversation for that would be what the word for that would be, but in the future. But we're having a conversation here, a small amount of us. I don't think it's enough for us to affect the reality around us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, though, because all you need to do is affect a single reality, and that's one reality tunnel, which is one person. So I think, maybe not affect the zeitgeist at large, but I think surely these conversations, like I said, they've helped me a ton just to kind of be more centered in these wild ideas. The word,
I literally just thought ground when you said centered. I was basically thinking grounded. It helps you maybe get grounded and give us maybe some comfort. That we're not just here to pay the bills and and watch the news all the time. I went out west, went skiing for the first time last week. I was a nervous wreck, right? And got on the plane, held my nose, jumped in the water, basically, just jump on the plane, and went skiing for the first time ever. And I kept the news to a minimum because that'll affect the energy. Sometimes when I'm home having dinner, we're all having dinner, my mom will come to the table. We got to look at her and say, don't mention the news. Because she could tell you somebody got murdered with a smile on her face, just like the news reporters. I hope I don't become that way. But that'll affect, it sucks it sucks the energy out of the room. And we all have that. We all have that energy vampire, Colin Robinson. If we watch What We Do in the Shadows, he sucks the energy out of people. Yeah,
100%. How'd the skiing go, by the way? So I'm not a skier. I went snowboarding and nearly broke my knee in half, and so it's not my thing. I'm just like, nope. But you're a hockey player, so it's a little different for you, I think.
Yeah, so my son wanted to go snowboarding. I said, let's just ski, because if you're locked into the snowboard, you're done. And me, I'm pretty much missing an ACL. I haven't stretched or torn. They don't know what's going on, so I've got to wear a lineman brace and a knee brace, but I can skate. So did 2 days of skiing, with the an instructor. But my son did a diamond at Steamboat Springs by the end, and I didn't want to kill myself, so I did just below the diamond, whatever that is. But I haven't been in snow since like 1990, since I moved to Florida, and the kids had never seen snow. So it was, my daughter said it was like a Bob Ross painting when we got off the plane and we're getting into the mountains. And I'm here in Florida and the weather's good, but I tell you what, I like the cold, and I haven't been in it. And even though it wasn't like minus, it was like 25 degrees. I was having a blast. I was having a blast. So, and did well. So yes, thank you for asking.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping us old guys, and I say that in the nicest way. Don't hurt yourself skiing, guys. Also, real quick on that weather report. I was driving in snow last week. Today was 90 degrees. So welcome to summer. It's here. I'm wearing shorts. Yeah. Probably won't wear pants again till November.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's for days. I got the pool running because I got to get the pool ready here soon. And then in May, I'm going to Japan. That's going to be a nuts. I'm not who likes to fly. I don't know that anybody really enjoys flying, especially nowadays. But that's going to be a long trip. So, but yeah. Anyway, the residents, from funeral homes and things like that, I can see energy with families that have lost a loved one. Connections. Where there's brothers and sisters at the table, and people are kindred. You could feel it. And then you want to try to change it, maybe be a little lighthearted, but with some people, especially with death, kind of maybe changing it, but you can't expect people to come in happy. But there are people that do rejoice, if that's the right word, because their loved one may be out of pain, depending on what they're, somebody might have dementia and it's painful to take care of them, So a lot of people, I'll get a lot of serene or calmness because people are relieved that their loved one is not suffering anymore, anything long term, So those are little things that I see, energy in the locker room. We can get that from anywhere if you're with like-minded people. If you're not with like-minded people, hopefully you can read the room,
Yeah, hopefully. Regarding so for those of you that don't know, Joe's a good friend from a long time ago. He's been with us for basically since the beginning of Troubled Minds, but he's a funeral director. He has been for as long as I've known him. The question for you, Joe, is that do you think that there's different energies with, like we were talking about, like apartments and places and maybe old megaliths and sort of historical things? Do you feel different energies? Because I know you've worked in different, funeral homes, parlors, whatever you want to call them at this point.
For sure.
Is there
sure.
and what do you think that is? Is it part? It's got to be part staff, in my opinion, because there's living people kind of doing the machinations of the business. But then also there's got to be some other resonant energy as part of it. Have you noticed maybe a correlation in any capacity? I know you brought it up a little bit there, but do you have a theory on why maybe there's some darker energy or some different energy here or there?
Yeah, so I can tell you this. I said it before quite a while ago when I was in Missouri last year. That in broad daylight, I saw a shadow. It was an abandoned jail. I forget what the jail is. It was near Jefferson City somewhere in Missouri, visiting family. And there was an abandoned jail there. And I said, hey, what the heck was that? And nobody noticed it, because they were all on their phones or whatever. But I was looking out the front of the car, and it looked like somebody threw a mattress or a blanket or a body. But it was black. It was a shadow that went down the side of the wall, and it was big. And that's without knowing what had happened in that jail, throughout the year. So that would be an extreme example of some kind of resonant energy that got burned in there, maybe some kind of fear or hatred that somebody didn't want to go. Now, I've told you this before, the funeral home that I work out of, I don't feel anything there, and I think it's because it's one of those old funeral homes that had the apartment or the living quarters upstairs. So I think that it was a place of action, but it was mainly positive. A lot of the families that come in, it was very positive. How do I explain it versus the corporate place? The corporate place that I worked at, you were a funeral director, but you were basically a salesperson. And to have constant pressure on all of the staff with bad management always created, a bad workplace. So that was just energy from the people that were alive. They were just doing their jobs. It was a pressure cooker. And you can imagine that manifests. And I'm going to give you an example. When I left the place that I was working at, I was probably the last peg that was keeping a lot of it together. And since I've left, any funeral, they've had turnaround and funeral directors in the prep room where there's a lot of embalming and things going on. They've had a lot of turnaround there. I'm not saying that I was any symbol of stability, but I was one of the last original people that was well liked by all of the staff. And then when I got treated the way I got treated by upper management and I left, people would come to me and talk to me. Staff, I'd keep the door open. I wasn't a manager, but people would come to me and vent. And it's still to this day, that's what happens when you meet with families of funeral homes. But at that particular funeral home, the energy was very negative. I don't know, there was a correlation with maybe spirits, but maybe spirits got caught in the negative energy that was going on constantly in those corporate funeral homes and in those buildings, okay? But again, the funeral home that I work at now, they've got an upstairs apartment. The family goes upstairs to eat because I work with the two owners. I might stay downstairs to eat. I have no fear going there in the middle of the night. I could park my car there and Uber into St. Petersburg for a show. I don't feel anything there. And usually I am kind of sensitive to those things. So.
Interesting. It isn't the spirits to be afraid of, it's the corporatism. that says a lot about resonant energy. Absolutely. Yep. Is that there's, and everybody knows too, you walk into a toxic place, like a toxic work environment, like you get hired or something, or you deal with, like I deal with a bunch of clients that work at all manner of different workforces, and some of it's, city stuff. Some of it's like, different, just all manner of stuff. Right. And you just know when you walk into a place that like people don't make eye contact, like everybody's kind of like walking around like they're going to get their ass chewed, tail between their legs type stuff. It's so strange to me. And then other places they're like, oh, hey, Mike, like they totally know my name. It's crazy. Just a different energy just from the people that are kind of shepherding the work, whatever the work is. It's a nutty thing, but you instantly know. Even if you don't know the people, you still instantly know by the energy. It's not just body energy, body language, but the energy itself in the air. Sorry, go ahead.
No, for sure. I mean, totally for sure. I mean, you can, again, you can go into a locker room, before you skate, and everybody's chatty and everything else. But I mean, it's a bad comparison, because we're all playing hockey. But you go into a funeral home, but again, a corporate one is the best example. And there could be high pressure there. And there's a lot of lying. People lie. And you're taking advantage of people. And to know that in your heart, if you're going to take advantage, you got to sleep at night. That could follow you. That energy could follow you. It's absolutely, absolutely stays with you. There are places like that. And maybe what's curious is to the funeral homes that I worked at were probably a little bit closer to water. I know water has something to do with energy and things. If anybody knows more about that, bring it up. But while I didn't have outright hauntings at the old funeral home, on more than one occasion, I had my, hair stand on end, hear doors, you hear things banging, and I've heard them with other people in broad daylight where we looked at each other down the hallway and there was nobody there. So I've had those things happen, That's it, I don't know where else to go. Human resonance is kind of interesting because that's a collective energy, if there is such a thing, The thing that also makes me wonder now, maybe this changes the subject a little bit, but the person that has been elected right now, in that name is power. Nobody realizes that. When that name is always mentioned, that name becomes power, because it is like what you have on a card. When you have a card that's better than somebody else's card, you have done that. You have basically, I don't want to say the word, but you've basically done that. And I just find it funny that article after article after article, at least that I read, doesn't really make me feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, so the negative energy right off the bat is just coming off of, it's coming out of the TV. I mean, it's coming out of the TV. It's programming. So if we haven't been programmed before, we're certainly being programmed now.
That's a fact. And by the way, we've been programmed before too. So it's like we're used to it now. We're used to it now. We're just like, oh, well, this is the new program. Okay, got it. Let's go hang out and listen to Troubled Minds instead. And that's the whole point. The whole point is not just narratives and energy and the human resonance that we're always talking about, but recognizing that their narratives are not our narratives. Whatever that looks like, you can talk about anything you want. Hey, there's an unbelievable amount of possibilities in the universe. and they're all here if you want to talk about them, if you want to think about them. You don't have to be locked into some stupid binary aspect of whatever. It's incredibly demeaning to me that we have to think in those terms and communicate in those terms to be part of a tribe somewhere. It's just so stupid, beyond stupid. Yeah.
But look what you miss out on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look what you miss. I'm 51, right? I've got a decent job finally. Okay. But because I don't want to play politics with the other people that I was with, the company that I was with, it can make all of us suffer. Right. So like if you're in the locker room with people, again, somebody might be the best person for the job, but the other person might be a good friend and get the job without experience. Like all of that is maybe I'm getting a little off topic, but those of us here that want to delve into these rabbit holes, that may not work out for us. I guess maybe getting a job that would be more mainstream, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with this, but we could suffer as far as being this group that we have here. We would suffer if people looked at our social media and knew that we were maybe a little bit into this or a little bit into that. You might suffer from that, right?
Yeah, the 2025 witch burnings. Here we go. the punk witch club in the crosshairs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what are they doing, And so anyway, that's my take, unless something else hits me in the head. But good show, good topic as always. I think it means more now than ever because our energies that we have should try to flow and stick together. The show kind of maybe lets that get out when we talk about these things. That show maybe lets all of us get a little reprieve from everyday life. Maybe this is our hobby, this is our thing, right? But at the same time, I've got to talk to my neighbor. And I may not like the way my neighbor voted, but I still have to, that's my alarm because I got to shut the pool filter off. But I still have to be friends with my neighbor, right? Just because he might be in one political cult and I'm not, and he might have one energy and I don't, I still have to say to myself, he is my neighbor. He is my neighbor. And we've got to respect each other because there might be something greater that comes down, another energy that comes down, another cult, another group, another idea. Because that's where this goes. The ideas manifest an energy. And him and I might have to be the ones that stand together for the rest of the neighborhood. Who knows?
There you go. Sometimes allies come from places you never expect, and they don't come if you don't give them a chance. And so that's the important part here. Look, I'm not one to kiss anybody's ass, but I'm also not one to just go burn bridges like a maniac. It doesn't make any sense because we're here for people. Newsflash, I'm a person too. I know some people say I'm an alien or a robot or an AI or something. I'm not. I'm a person too. So yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's what, like I said, me and you have been friends for a long time through this medium, through this sort of the lens of looking at the world differently and considering possibilities. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm honored and blessed to have known you and still know you and all the rest. Everybody here is part of it to have you. And that's the point. That's the point. It's human energy. And don't forget, it plays and it's important and it's something we should not forget. Got a minute left or so if you got anything else?
Just routines. I'm telling everybody out there, try to have a side gig for some extra money. We always want to do that. Don't waste your energy on people that, people that aren't going to change. People that maybe you're trying to convince and aren't going to change, especially in this day and age. We all seem to dig in. You could say the sky's blue. They're going to tell you it's red. You could say, hey, Captain Picard, there's 3 lights, and he's going to tell you there's 4 lights. Anybody that gets that. Those are the people that you need to cut out. None of us are getting younger. We've got to enjoy the time that we have here, especially since we don't know, whatever's being accelerated, whatever things are being fed off of us, we're being manipulated more than ever. And something I really start to think now that maybe there is something that is feeding off of that energy. So that's all.
That's all. Just light
protect yourself.
Yeah. Always be on your guard. That's keep the psychic shield up because it's pouring through the TV and everywhere else. And if you let it get you, it'll get you. Don't let it get you. Don't be that guy. You're the best, Joe. Appreciate it.
I have a hard time. I really have a hard time with all of it. I have a hard time. So especially with some of the things that I've written, I wrote a paper on some legitimate total voter fraud with the death certificates in the state of Florida. And while I couldn't prove the voter fraud, all the proof is there to make the theory of it. And I sent it to some newspapers, and I get a response. But then when I send a paper, I get crickets. I get crickets. I get crickets. I send it to the elections office. I get crickets. So I get caught up into those things because it's the state of Florida. I have another complaint against my old company for basically lying to families. And I still haven't heard. It's been a year. I just try to stay patient and not get negative about it or angry. Because if you approach things with anger, you might make a mistake. You've got to approach those things with a smile and say that I'm trying to get some justice.
Well said. As you know, we're out of time. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great night. Love to hear about Japan when you get back, and talk to you soon. Have a fantastic one.
All right.
Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking resonant energy, right? Psychic signatures, alignment resonance theory, which is basically based on the Dungeons and Dragons aspect of, chaotic good, or lawful neutral, or lawful evil, or whatever, right? Neutral evil. There's a whole bunch of ways to kind of look at this and quantify people, right? And it is one of the things too that's a tribalist aspect of people, is we, the good guys always win, and we want to call the ones who lose the bad guys, right? I mean, but as we know, historically, it's a messy, tangled mess, and the ones that have been exterminated, and I mean that in the nicest way. I'm not trying to be flippant about literal conquered peoples. There's history's rife with it, and it's horrific. But they don't really get a say in many cases. And so if you're conquered, you're automatically the bad guy, right? Because the good guy won. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Of course, like anybody with like a semi-working brain can go, wait a minute now, how could that be true? And so anyway, I digress, but you get the point. Is it's talking about these resonant energies and people kind of not just writing history the way we expect it to be, because the good guys and the bad guys are framed in that Dungeons and Dragons alignment way of good versus evil. It's always, the invaders are the bad guys and then the defenders are the good guys, or vice versa, whatever, right? However you want to look at it, because it's framed in propaganda. It's framed in historical propaganda. And these narratives, of course, and I'm not saying they're fake, by the way. It's an important distinction to make in that regard, because fake would be like saying it's all phony and like none of this stuff happened. That's I think that's a stretch too. But there's going to be this mix of both, where a new granular history, as we've been talking about recently, is going to be important, because we can kind of draw new narratives out of these things that may have been missed, that maybe we missed historically because there were voices that were silenced. That's maybe there's some things written in stone that'll change our minds about a great many things. I don't really know. So that's the whole point of this, and that's why we talk about these ideas together. But basically, back to where we started tonight was this psychic signatures. Alignment resonance theory is what I'm calling this. Again, back to the Dungeons and Dragons alignment. And how strange would it be to be able to say, okay, well, Mike, you're neutral good, or again, we put unscientifically, of course, we put our X accounts into this tool and said, boom, tell us what we are based on our posts or our tweets or replies or whatever. It kind of grinded the data and then came back, and I was chaotic good, and Joey was chaotic good, Sweets was chaotic good. It was like, so either this thing is broken at chaotic good, or maybe we're finding the resonant frequency of the tribe here, of kind of the general consensus of what this might be, right? And so I don't know, that type of idea makes me wonder. And again, this is non-scientific, but I do wonder if in the future, very soon, we'll have a scientific version of this where we can have a frequency for darkness or evil or chaos or order or whatever, however you want to define it. Again, those human terms are slippery because perspective is almost everything in that context. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in terms of this energy. And do you think we're going to be able to redefine terms like love or terms like hate? Because we get down to the bottom of this and how it fits into energy, frequency, and vibration. And can we say at this Hertz level is optimal brain whatever because of these definitions that we've really been fumbling with for a very long time? As we said recently that, the word love is incredible, but what did the in Latin or whatever, the Greeks, who was it, had like 5 different versions of love or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway, you get the idea. I'll look that up in a second and clarify. But hey, I can't have everything in my brain all at once. I'm not a large language model, all right? But anyway, love to hear what you guys think. Nobody's on the phone line. If you want to jump in here one more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. James, if you got anything else, welcome back to the joint. Thanks for being patient. Great call from Joe. Appreciate you, brother. And welcome back to the thing. How you feeling?
I'm okay. The way you were just talking about there reminds me of a lot of things I've sort of researched over the years. How there's this idea that's in popular culture that if you're seeing any kind of a shadowy figure or a dark figure, it's automatically evil. Or if you're seeing any kind of figure of light, it's automatically good. But if you look into enough accounts that people have of these experiences with these figures, first of all, they don't all have the same shape all the time. And second, they don't all act the same way. Some figures, whether they are dark or light, they do seem to want to get the energy out of people, this reaction of fear from people by showing themselves to people. And that's shadow figures, some shadow figures, but also some other things, orbs. It's not, in other words, it's not as simple as this is the one way and that is the other way, and that's how it is. We did a show quite a while ago now, on like orbs and auras and all that, and I remember you kind of did some looking up about what the orbs and the colors meant, and depending on what website you looked at, there could be conflicting views on the same color, the same thing. So that also has always fascinated me. And so, yeah, I don't know what all that means. It's just that it's there. And I think the feeling that we get from something should not be just because of how it looks, because that can be misleading.
Yeah, 100%. And I do remember that when we talked about that stuff. It's strange. Like I said, perspective seems to still be king in this regard, because you can say that person's bad, but if the bad person doing things for freedom or whatever, right? Like, is that bad? I don't know. And I'm not suggesting anybody do anything bad. Okay, don't get me wrong here. I'm just saying from the perspective, a terrorist and a freedom fighter are, well, similar, right? I'm not saying the same thing. Of course, I know there's a ton of nuance there, and I'm not being ridiculous. I'm just saying, you get it? Some of those definitions sort of blur depending on the perspective. And it's incredibly important for us to recognize it and recognize how those ideas are being used against us and the terms being used to make us believe certain things. And you're right, James, with the red, I think the red color was malevolence, and, some of these old ancient ideas of alchemy or whatever, and how it kind of comes into the space of old tropes, I guess. You see the dark orb, and it means it's malevolent or something, or the red light, or it's Hades coming back from the underworld or something like that. But is that really true, or is that sort of just an old idea, or is it the red light district, this type of thing, and Vegas and Sin City or whatever, right? It's an interesting thing how we have these sort of paradigms locked into our mind about even particular colors, right? That's the odd part of this. Yeah, go ahead.
But you have those meanings or those ideas attached to red, but then the idea of it also being, how often do you see red hearts when hearts are being used to describe love? How often do you see we think of like blood and how important it is for, look at like the I forget what you call it now, first aid kits. They have like a red colored cross or plus shape, red cross. I mean, just all these different things that can have different meanings depending on the context of it.
Yeah, 100%. And so the red orb floating in your window may not be as you think. And it's interesting too. I was talking to Jay recently, as you guys know, and I keep bringing him up because he's fascinating to tell. He does a ton of videos, cranks out a ton of content. But he had like an experience with these orbs, and he said that he didn't feel anything malevolent from them. Like he kind of called them and they came, but then afterward, in reflection, he was suggesting he's not sure that type of contact should be made. And so he's kind of stopped it because he didn't know how to really define it directly. And so it didn't freak him out. It didn't spook him. It, of course, changed his life and made him see the world differently. But it also made him wonder if he should not be calling these entities to him, whatever they are, right? If they're, again, tulpas or egregores or we've talked about all this stuff, pop out tolpoids or whatever this stuff happens to be. If it's actual UFOs, you name it, right? You call it, you name it. But he was kind of like, you know what? I'm not so sure like that's the best for me. And he stopped. He hasn't been doing that CE5, this kind of summoning aspect of it. It's weird. It's weird. So how do you define it? Because as we're describing tonight, good and evil. We're talking about chaos and order. We're talking about sort of these human terms of how we feel about it and how society acts in those spaces. But then imagine if the entities, malevolent or otherwise, could in some capacity show you a benevolent energy, an actual frequency that made you feel like, hey, we're on your team. We're on your side. We want the best for you guys. Whatever, right? But you know where my mind goes from that. We've talked about that quite a lot. But anyway, it's weird, right? That you can kind of boil down like an emotion to a particular brain frequency. And then possibly, of course, we'll get into some other stuff coming up regarding a technology where that's being used against us. I don't know. Conceptually, like I said, the LRAD, as Joe was saying, very smart. And that'll rumble your guts, like start to hurt. And you got to get out of there. It's weird. It's a lot of weird stuff with this energy, frequency, and vibration. Anything on the summoning bit there, James?
I've always said too, you know, I don't blame him for stopping, because I do think I'm always two ways about this, because I do think it's important when we have, or anyone has an anomalous experience, to go with what their feelings say, go by what they feel, but also be aware that, you know, things and people, I mean, regular living people, but the deception is always possible with all these experiences as well. And so just keep that in mind and just do your best is all I can really say to do in any situation like that. And so I don't blame him at all for stopping. If he felt like he needed to stop, that may have been a good thing. And there may have been reasons for that he wasn't thinking of at the time, but sort of picked up on after the fact. And so yeah, I also I was thinking of something else and I lost it. So I will let's come back if there's time later.
That's okay. We'll get back to you in a sec. You're the best. If you guys want to jump in here, love to hear your thoughts. We're talking these resonant energies of people, but not just in that context. It gets larger, because can you actually quantify a human emotion directly to a frequency? And are we doing this wrong through language when we could be doing this through, you know, like beep the button and then kind of, spread the cheer through a device. You see where this leads. Anyway, so we're going to go back ancient for a second here. So I want to read this a little bit. And this is, like I said, if you guys want to deep dive in something, check out perplexity.ai. It's very, very good. And so I have two full on write-ups for every show I'm doing. I have like a creative, and then I have like a scientific way to kind of look at this. So it's like I said, the world is accelerating and fracturing and turning into all this information super quickly. And it's incredible because now I get to read fancy words and sound like a scientist, even though I don't quite understand a lot of this stuff, but you get the meaning. So back to this. Now, this is from the perplexity thing, and I'll link it in the Discord again after the show. So if you guys want to kind of comb through this and fact check some of it, that's cool. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a journalist. I'm not trying to tell anybody there's any truth. These are ideas. Okay. But listen to this. Megalithic energetics and consciousness modulation. This is one of my big theories too. When I finally write my first book, it'll probably be on exactly this, because I think there's a lot of things happening with it, especially in light of the new information about the massive density thing they discovered beneath the pyramids. maybe, just maybe, there's something there. We'll get back to that. But anyway, so sacred sites like Stonehenge and the pyramids of Giza exhibit persistent electromagnetic anomalies. There's some sources here. Again, I'll link this afterward in the Discord. You guys can check it out. With telluric, is that how you say it? Currents peaking at dawn and resonating at 7.83 hertz, or the Schumann resonance. This frequency overlaps with human theta rhythms, potentially explaining the downloads of insight reported by visitors. And that's, of course, linked to some Wu sites and some other science sites and some other things. By entraining cortical oscillations to Earth's natural resonance, these sites may facilitate transitions toward chaotic good alignments, enhancing creativity and spiritual receptivity. I wonder, and we've long talked about this, and it's been, wildly speculated for pretty much ever. Why do they build these things? Clearly, you want to catch the attention of the gods by doing monumental feats as humans. But beyond that, was there some functional aspect of these ancient megalithic spaces? And I think there's a lot of ways to look at it, a lot of ways to consider it, and many people have suggested a great many things. Not too late to go into all the things, but you know, if you're still listening to me this late at night, there's a lot of theories with this stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so back to this. Anything on that, James? If your thought comes back, just interrupt me, because I don't want to. I hate when I lose the thought and then I get it and then you don't get a chance to get it back in. Anything on that, or no? If your thought came back,
the thought has not come back. It is apparently gone, at least for now. But yeah, these ancient sites. It's amazing how often there is other anomalous things around there that get that people have experiences in and around them, and this has been happening, I think, for a very long time. And so, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, that these, because we talked before about how running water, moving water, it creates its own energy, and how different stones and crystals have their own energy fields, and reflections of light and energy off of. That's the big thing about mirrors and all that. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that these places, and some stones can almost be reflective enough to, you can still see things off of their sides if they're clear enough or polished enough. You can get reflections off of them. So really is amazing, all these places that have been made out of different kinds of stone and all the things reported that happen around them.
Yeah, and the density stuff, the gravity stuff, that's one of my theories too. I'll put that in the book. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but like I said, not for tonight. But anyway, so from the megalithic energetics and consciousness modulation is part of it. There's another part that comes into it, which is haunted spaces, which we talked about previously. But check this out, James. This is interesting. I was reading this going, oh, so there is maybe sort of a measurable aspect of some of these things, and they've got some links in here. Again, I'll drop this in the Discord. I'll do it in just a second here, just in case anybody wants to go fact check this or whatever. But haunted spaces, conversely, often register ultra low frequency emissions. That would be 0.1 to 1 hertz associated with seismic activity. ULF, ultra low frequency exposure, disrupts hippocampal theta, inducing dissociative states and phantom perceptions, a possible mechanism for poltergeist phenomena. The weaponized potential is evident. Targeted ULF, ultra low frequency bombardment, could covertly induce population-wide anxiety or a chaotic evil resonance by destabilizing cortical criticality. Man, this thing is so smart. What about those big words? Oh my goodness. Anything on that, James? Because that's right down your alley right there.
Well, my gosh, how many times have we heard reports of, my bed was shaking under me, then or moving back, moving along the floor. We heard a huge crash somewhere in the house and we could not find what fell. Or it was this huge object that we have no idea how it fell. People have, so many reports I've heard over the years of people feeling or hearing these sounds like everything is moving, like the house is, something shakes the house so much that it sounds like it was a huge crash, and then they don't find anything. So that is wild that's there, that connection is there. And it does make sense to me in a way, because I know personally, I don't like very low-pitched sounds or very high-pitched sounds. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, but with my ears being more sensitive, I really don't like them. You know, I was talking about this with Eric the other day in a voice chat. I can always hear when there's a monitor or TV or some kind of device on in a room. If there's nothing else on at the time, if there's no music or whatever, I can still hear when devices are on. And I don't care for that sound, really. I don't.
Yeah, like kind of a muted white noise, even though they're not really making any noise. It's there. It's so crazy. I got these speakers. They're these nice bookshelf speakers that are monitor speakers, they call them. And they just started like doing that. They're like kind of like a really low static. And it's not really built into the system that way. Like you guys shouldn't be able to hear it. If you hear really low static, then I need to unplug them or whatever. But it's weird to me because they've been fine and crisp and perfect forever. But then suddenly they just started hissing. I'm like, I came in, I thought there was a leak in the room. I was like, is that running water? What the hell is that sound? That's so crazy. Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting thing, that sort of a white noise in the background that it can be comforting unless it's a leak in the garage. Then go check your water heater.
Yeah, and I've heard some people really like the sound of having a fan on at night or whatever when they go to bed, and some people they can't stand it. It really does seem to just depend. It's funny too. You mentioned that with your speakers. I have my speakers. There was a weird thing they were doing where they were just like there was reverb or something like that on them for a while. A few nights ago, I was listening to a TV show and it didn't make sense because the speakers have been in the same place for years, and it's a regular website that I use a lot. And I don't know what was going on that night, but there was something that was weird.
Yeah, it's all weird. Yeah, so, and that's the point. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. What do you think? What do you know about this human resonant energy? I'm calling it psychic signatures, of course, because we're, as usual, look, isn't it fascinating, at least to me, maybe to you, hopefully to you, I'll make the case here, that when you combine ideas, disparate ideas that seem like they're from different realms entirely, these really interesting novel spaces sort of produce, sort of come out of sort of free think, kind of moving out of the silos of, again, science is fantastic. I'm not digging on science, but the specialists in the particular fields don't really think outside of their particular fields. But then you kind of do this and prompt these new systems to kind of say, well, does this make some sense? And they're like, yeah, this part not really, but this part kinda. And just the compute going forward and figuring out what we've missed forever is going to be incredible. Like I said, that quickening aspect of it, and I'm here for it. That's exactly the point. But back to the premise tonight is combining the alignments of Dungeons and Dragons. Good, evil, neutral, chaotic, lawful. And then suddenly, if you can actually define those in terms of some sort of frequency, some sort of hertz level band, and then project that, not just, let's say, personal, as like an organic human unit. Let's say, I show up here pretty centered most times. Michael W. says I come in crashing in sideways now and then, and he's right. But because it's frenetic energy, it's like doing a lot in like a short amount of time. But if you come in and project sort of a cool, chill energy from the human aspect, right? It kind of brings people down. Like I always tell Kelly when he calls me, like I'm always, racing and trying to get all the information in and say all the things right. And, I'm clearly imperfect, but he shows up and like, his just energy is like, cool. I always feel like he's sitting in a recliner, like smoking a spliff, like, hey, Mike, how you doing tonight? Suddenly my entire energy just comes down. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. double hell yeah. But it's weird, right? So not just maybe the things he says, his cadence, all the rest of that place, but maybe just the resonant of his voice, the actual tones. I don't know. It's crazy, right? Just from the human space. We're not even talking technology yet. And we've talked about this in the past quite a lot too. The idea that words are magic, spells, and that type of stuff. And I think it's pretty evident. Like I said, you can use words to manipulate people. You can use words to inspire people, and it just depends on a lot of that stuff. The cadence, sometimes the vocal resonance, the intention, the words you do choose to say or not say. And yeah, anyway, that's where my mind's at right now. We got one more segment coming up if you guys want to jump in here. James, thanks again for sitting in and being the man, always the man, the glue of the show. Appreciate you very much. If you got anything to add, we got about 30 seconds. We'll take a quick break, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Please dial that number, get in here, and tell us what you think. If you got anything, James.
So here's a question for everyone. Have you ever had two friends that you're really good friends with them, but they cannot stand each other? What is that energy about? Because I've had experience with that, and it's just really wild. Because it's not that they're evil, you know, and you get along with them fine, but then they just cannot stand each other.
Weird. Weird. Or yeah, you see both of them as everything's fine, but then yeah, there's that, it's weird, an energy. It's so strange. It's incredibly strange. Yeah, I don't know. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. We're talking psychic signatures tonight. Alignment resonance theory. Is it possible to take something like evil or good or chaotic or order and boil it down to a resonant frequency? Scientifically. That's the question. I don't know the answer, but I'm asking the question. What do you know about it? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. Love to hear your thoughts. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. That's the Underground Media Network. Tonight, we're talking psychic signatures. I'm calling it alignment resonance theory because we're taking the idea of Dungeons & Dragons alignment, okay? Chaotic, lawful, good, evil, and wondering if there's a resonant energy that defines those human emotions, good and evil, love and hate, and everything else, fear, all the rest. And I think eventually we're going to be able to kind of boil this down to something incredibly scientific that we can kind of pinpoint and say, this energy is exactly this, and then replicate it. And I'm nearly certain that this has already been derived, at least, let's say, in a rough framework, because, well, we're being manipulated, right? We feel it. What about the if it bleeds, it leads, the MK Ultra for the masses, all the hate that kind of comes out of that stuff, the television set trying to tell you, be mad, be angry. But you know why you're mad and you're angry? Don't forget that part. It's because you're on a crappy team. Because both sides are crappy. But you're mad at the other side for being more crappy. You see? It's like the race to the bottom. And tell me that isn't manipulation. Because I'm pretty sure. That's like an abusive relationship. It's horrific. And so we got millions and millions and millions of people as part of these cults, which is what they are. It's nuts to me. I don't know. Normalize not being on a team. Even this team, like we're a loose collective of thinkers and people, and it's this. I mean, you know, Joe called us a cult earlier. Shout out, Joe. I know he was halfway tongue in cheek there. This is just to me, it's a social club. And if you think anything we talk about is all wrong, or everything we talk about is all wrong, you're probably right. Congratulations. Yeah. But now you recognize the possibilities, and that's what this has always been about. James, anything you got? But we'll go to Joey in just a sec.
Oh, I don't know if I want you on my team. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn it, James.
But no, definitely. It's the mainstream media is sort of one of that, and then just the way that certain places I just don't like to be in. Those are the first two things that came to mind, and notice those are both based on actual physical tones and vibrations that, you know, in certain patterns. And I'm sure we've all at this point seen the different videos online of the 5 or 10 different newscasters from different stations saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
the exact words. It's so crazy.
It is. I never would have, and I mean, it seemed like it could be before, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, that's confirmation enough right there. That makes sense. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the show.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. Dawn in the chat says, if this is a cult, I'm still in. Oh boy. I'll send you your choose the color of your robe. We'll get it sent to you. I'm just kidding, of course. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you in the show. Easy as this on the Discord. What's up, Joey? Joey the Gent. What's up, man? How you doing tonight? Welcome to the joint. What's on your mind? And go right ahead.
Hey, Mike. Hey, James. How's everybody doing?
Good.
I don't know if you noticed, I changed that name. I got rid of the Joey the Gent thing. I think there's some person out there that actually, gets paid for that handle, so I don't want to step on any toes. I spelled it differently, but I changed mine.
Okay, that's cool. Joey R. Gent. How about that? Our brother here, a brother from another mother. That's cool. When you dial that in, let me know. I'm reading your handle there, and it's a lot of numbers and letters that I can't read. So anyway, what's on your mind, brother? Go right ahead.
So frequency, man. We were talking about this just a little while ago in our little group, and I was saying everything has a frequency. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like stone or steel, the molecules are just vibrating not quite as fast and loose as ours, so they stay stationary and they seem solid. But we're semi-solid, and then other things seem whatever, but yeah,
but steel be like the whole history, like a Hindu, you can see the frequency.
Right. Everything has a frequency. Yeah. So if you can figure out what the frequency of that thing is, it's more than plausible to think that you can manipulate it in some kind of way that seems not physical by our small perspective.
Yeah, I think so. And that whole bit too, it's fascinating as hell because this has long been known. But of course, what we're talking about is how it sort of merges and comes together with the human conscious aspect, and how much of that push and pull is happening with individuals, with smaller groups, with larger groups, with the larger zeitgeist, with the entire noosphere of the earth itself, of the human idea. It becomes weird because I think there's going to be those brackish spaces where you have energy colliding, co-mingling. Brackish, I use probably liminal is a better way to put it, but where you have the co-mingling of these two frequencies that are creating discord, right? Shout out to Discord. Shout out to Discord fam. The term Discord is fantastic. And I don't know. And so how do we deal with those things? And by the way, how would you quantify that? Like, they talk about, I said this earlier, that if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, like, how do you kind of quantify that? It may have been because you stayed up too late. It may have been because you didn't eat properly or exercise or whatever, right? Like all manner of things. You drank a little too much, smoked a little too much, whatever it was, right? It could be a bunch of things. But then also, what if it has nothing to do with any of that sometimes? And it's those brackish spaces of that liminal energy coming together, and you just happen to be in it because that's where your bed's at. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing. Sure. It's a weird thing. But yeah, anyway, go ahead.
So you touched on something just before I got on about like poor relationships, right? Tumultuous relationships with people that just their energies are really conflicting, and they stay in that for some reason. For instance, like us and governments that are poor, that treat people poorly, don't run the governments poorly for. There's plenty of bad governments out there, plenty of bad models in history on what governments were going to be that turned out to be, this is, and all our politicians, they go off of running on, promises that they know they just can't fully uphold, but maybe they have that idea. It's not that easy to turn things around no matter what seat you're sitting in. So, they have to placate to people that are willing to sit there and just listen to somebody say something and take it verbatim or as at least straightforward. They give them the benefit of the doubt. But either way, we're stuck, all of us, in what would you call a codependency? It's not exactly healthy, but it's necessary because otherwise there'd be chaos, right? Or at least that's what the thought is. I mean, maybe so, but I'm not saying anything about demolish. I'm not, you know what I mean? This is not a, call to arms or anything. It's just, we're not going to take that step and not have a government because we have one and have had one for so long that even though it kind of sucks sometimes, it's better than not having one because we don't even know what that's like.
Yeah. All that, it all makes a ton of sense because we're all struggling with similar stuff. It's again, the archetypes. It's Joseph Campbell. It's the hero's journey. It's all these things. Imagine if you could fine tune that, like laser tune that. And then it's like, well, all these like negative frequencies that are kind of stuck in your head, we can sort of filter out now and, kind of put like a goggles or some headphones or something. And then, you only get the good stuff. I don't know. Is that
so? Like,
what's that look like?
Like an example, like if you knew that you were going to convince a massive amount of people to put forth all of their energy towards a singular thing on a singular day and roughly about a singular time, you could probably harness a good deal of energy and do something with that, especially if the thing that they're driving towards isn't exactly what they think it is, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but
holidays, for instance.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but the point of view is be seeing what you can get advantage of that frequency on you, what you can do a better person or get the most positive and like advantage what the powers that you have. If you create on your brain, you can be able. We able to do a lot of things that we are on the wrong trail. You know what I'm saying? Like if you try to get your brain to get to the maximum power that you can maybe have, that's what we were talking about. We're saying the frequency is about your soul and your old things too. Maybe they can make you serene. They can make it. You can try to find a positive way for your life.
What the question here really is, I think, is the collective amount of energy and the human.
Yep.
The human interaction between.
But that's you who choose. Was the energy that's yours. You cannot force them. You try to first canalize yours, your power that you can able maybe to get the maximum
Hold on.
strength.
Let's Mike interject here. Maybe he can clear us up. Because it sounds
maybe out of topic.
Out of topic for sure. Oh,
that's all right. We meander a little bit here and there. It's cool. That's the whole point, right? Too much draconian iron fist means conversations can't happen. So kind of keep it loosely based. It's cool. I think we're in the realm. We're in the realm because we're talking about humans and energy and frequency and vibration. I think it all fits. But yeah. So I get what you're putting down. I definitely do. Go ahead, Joey. You were going to add something there. Go ahead.
I think if I'm hearing you right, bro, like maybe you're saying like if a human being can focus in and harness and resonate themselves, like they know their frequency, if they feel their energy, then something can't do detriment to that.
Prolong your life.
For sure.
Like the Hindu people, they do those yoga and they be able now to be 125 years. They be doing
one person to the next
cycle.
But my point was different. My point was a collective energy. Like I'm just going to use it as an example. I'm not saying that this actually happens, but let's just say Christmas, right?
Yeah, brother.
Christmas is a thing that is pretty mixed up because it's celebrated almost all over the world in different ways by different people and negated by a lot too. So
but you can't come in time.
But I'm saying
he got edgy.
I'm saying in
those guys to build the pyramids.
In America, we've got this big commercialized outlook on it, and a lot of money gets spent on the glam of Christmas during the Christmas season. A lot of focus and energy goes into doing things in a certain way, but it actually makes so much negative energy during that time of year that should be magical, and people have to force themselves to feel the magic and see it and look for it, but really they've been stressed out because of the commercialism.
But it's negative to the person. He have to put the money, spend the money for her wallet.
But if you're looking to gather some negative energy, hell, it's a good time to do it.
But for the other person, it's positive.
Okay, hold on. I got a not very unique take here. If you've ever worked retail during Christmas, it's not good times. It's not good times. It is like you're grinding overtime. You're up to your neck. You're just through with it. You wish it would be over. And so, I get the sentiment. Okay, Yuletide and the rest, but there is a negative aspect to it. There's a commercial aspect to it that is exploitative of people. And not just that we're supposed to go out and buy a bunch of stuff we can't afford and send it to people we don't like, but beyond that, there's the people that are like sort of running that industry. It's all, as usual, like it's all upside down. It's all backwards and inside out and upside down, like I always talk about. And so, yeah, hey, if you don't believe me, go, by all means. They're looking for people. Go this Yuletide. Go work a retail job just for some punishment, so you can be like, damn, bro. Yep. Damn, bro. I'm just saying, I was a manager in that, in a very, very high volume space, and it is not fun. It is absolutely not fun at all.
So let me ask this, Mike. Like, if you were an outside entity and you could see all the different energies going on at that time, or you had some way to harness them, and a lot of people's
Test, dead air? Are you there? We lost you.
You hear us okay?
So you were in the middle of asking a question. You still hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so you kind of got to the point where you're asking about sort of the energy of that Christmas space, but you kind of got cut off at some point. So re-ask that question, please.
If you were able to harness energy from the population of people of the earth, and you could see a large amount of negative energy that time of year, when the projection in people's heads is this wholesome, really Yule feeling.
We see that on the Ark of Noé.
If you could see and harness that, what could you do with that? I mean, what would be the point to get people so negatively driven at that part of the year?
Okay, so it's an interesting thought, being able to let's flip it and let's visualize what that frequency looks like. Imagine we could see the frequency. I think it would almost be like watching a storm roll in, like dark clouds, right? And you could maybe even avoid it, and that type of stuff. I think eventually that's where we're going to kind of get to, again, given all the data of all the things in all the world in real time. Like the whole effect of it. Every piece of data that rolls through, we'll be able to recognize these things and avoid them. And even dare I say, recognize that something like a commercialist space and a holiday called Black Friday is probably not healthy for society. And so, yeah,
it's not healthy for the person that have to take off the cash from their wallet because for all the way for the person that will receive those gifts and those presents. Oh, that's a blessing.
Yeah, but you don't have to. It's not required.
No, you're right on that. Hey, my whole life, I can tell you something. I received many gifted, but I'll be honest. I don't know. I could be better person, maybe, I think, if I give him back at least the feelings for the intention on those moments. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an energy too that you be passing.
Well, that was person. That's what I was getting at with my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you could see all that energy, why would you want to drive it towards a large amount of negative But check it out, because everything has to have balance. On the other side of that, there's a smaller amount because of how large this thing is growing. Like, this is a sickness. It really is toxic for us. But let me finish this thought, please.
I gotta go. Hey, see you, Mike. I gotta go on my motorcycle. He's raining.
Later, bro. Be safe. On the other side of that, the balance is that even though it's smaller little moments that we almost see as magical, those little small moments. 1 second.
1 second. No problem. We got you.
I wanted back to.
That's okay. You good? If you need a second, we got you.
Nope.
Okay.
No, he's off.
Okay. Well,
those smaller, happy, magical moments that we really base this entire, escapade on, and continue to do, even though we've gotten to the point where we know it's madness, but we're still willing to be participatory. It's just like you said, it is a willing thing. You don't have to but if you have the right heart, like he said, these things are magical. If you go about it like, this is a way I can say that I still participate in my family, but I really don't want to see this person or deal with them. So, I send a gift once a year and blah, blah, blah. But I did my due diligence. Nobody can say I'm a bad person, right? That's how we write that off.
Right.
But
it's coercion. It's coercion is what it is. So
it is, but you still choose it.
Yeah, exactly. So you can opt out as usual. Like again, the open mind can opt out of anything. And that's the point, is that the human connections are manufactured in many ways, and it's important to recognize you don't have to be part of these larger systems. You just don't. And I don't mean to be an anarchist and burn things down. Like, I don't do that either. I think it's important to recognize what's happening to us, and then recognize who we are as part of that system, and do our best to work within it or without it. And it's complicated, and that's why we talk about these things. Like I said, this is not water cooler talk. This will get you fired at work, and we're just talking about Christmas right now. Right. You know what I mean? It's like come on now, seriously. It's so silly that this type of the hypercharged aspect of a season is so polarizing. I don't know. I mean, maybe not for this group. This group is probably a little more enlightened than the Fox News or the CNN crew. No offense if you watch that crap. I watch that crap too because I want to know what they're saying. But anyway, go ahead, sir. What else you got?
So that's why I guess you could say this is like a cult, because for some people it might distinctly seem like one because it's so far against what they believe, but they believe what they see, and they don't really know anything or take the time to do their due diligence to go looking. And I don't believe what I see or what I feel most of the time, because I know I can lie to myself just as easily as you can try to lie to me. But since I see it that way, it's all just for fun. So I take it all in and I see it for what it really is, and then it doesn't ever pull the wool over my eyes. And if it does, then I must have chosen it, because either way, I'm still stuck in the position that I put myself in. So you got to own whatever you're doing, your actions, right? And we choose a lot of these things, but ultimately, my point was, if you look at the big picture, though everything seems very negative and enlarged, like across the board, I've had more negative experiences than positive experiences. My life has been woes. You hear many people say it, but I had these small moments that are so special, and I miss them. I wish that small moment was just as fleeting as all the little tiny bad moments you had. But since it was so special, that one moment equals all these small bad moments, and it's all balanced.
Yeah, if you let it be, right? Sometimes we try too hard to bring frame focus to the frame, and I don't think it's necessary. Like, you kind of let it come, and it'll come. We got calls we got to get to, brother. We got time ticking and all the rest. I appreciate you very much. What's your friend's name again? I mess it up every single time. Cello. Okay. I'm gonna make a note of that. I think I already did, but I have so many notes it's impossible. But for me to keep track of everything. But yeah, great stuff. Appreciate you. Thanks for bringing the partner as part of that. It's a nice dynamic, and always a pleasure, my man. Oh, by the way, what are you doing on your? I see you created a new thing. You want to plug that real quick and send me a link too. I'll add you to the list here.
Yeah, sure. As a matter of fact, I want to thank James and a few other folks that were in here. Who else was in there? Gaston. We had Sweets. A few people stopped by. So I don't know. It was just a freestyle rambling on and on. We went from one end of the spectrum that we had no topic, and we just had some fun. And that's pretty much how I put it out there. I put it out there for like an hour-long fun session. It was Tuesday, 8:22, and I think I'll just do a reoccurring thing. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. I thought it was a nice timeline. I only put an hour limit on it. We stayed for 2.
Nice. That tends to happen with you got a good group of people. Send me the link. Again, scroll down troubledminds.org/friends or click the friends link at troubledminds.org. It'll say follow Joey here. We'll have a link. Go check out his Discord. He's doing a thing now. Look, this is what it's all about. Inspiring each other to create things and grow networks. You're the best, brother. Thanks again for being part of this. Good luck on the thing. I'll help you where I can. And always a pleasure, my man.
Thanks, Mike. You're great.
Thank you. You as well. Have a great night. James, anything to add to that? We'll go to Jorge, and then we'll wrap this up.
No, just great call. Yeah, it was nice to be there for the first show tonight for that Joey had with his group there. And yeah, I think I do agree. I think I've been thinking about that too after you mentioned Christmas, but I think about that with birthdays too. You know, we sort of do mini versions of Christmas a lot when it comes to birthdays out here in the U.S. a lot, where there's always the presents.
Yeah.
At least so many people feel pressured to have the presents. And I've always told my family, I'm not worried about all that. It's the main thing to me. I don't even care so much about the holiday itself, the history of it. That's fine. But to me, the most important thing is always just getting together with people. That's the biggest thing to me.
Well said. Well said, all that. That's why we get together and talk about these things. I agree. My birthday just passed, and y'all don't know because I'm not telling. Happy birthday, Mike. Okay, there you go. You don't have to say it. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Jorge, what's up, brother? How you doing? Welcome back to the thing. How are you, sir? And go right ahead, and we'll wrap this up.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. No complaints, man.
I wanted to get on that conversation. I was like, how do people benefit from bad, what is that, spirits or bad juju? It's like, it's money, bro. It's like, there is the phrase that is so infamous. It says about the Rothschilds, he says, whenever there's blood in the street, Paris, I buy. So it's just like that negative energy, it just makes people money. That's why, like, people, when people suffer, that's when, when rich people know how to make desperation and competition, it always makes, it always makes rich money. That's all I wanted to say. It's profitable to make people miserable.
It is. And then to offer them a solution to get them out of their misery and then sell them that too. It's like you get it on both ends. It's horrific. That's the world we live in.
Right.
That's right.
That's right. That's how they do it. That is how they do it, my brother.
Yeah. So I've got an ebook coming out, by the way, how to make yourself happy. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Don't buy this book.
Don't buy this book. It'll be written by AI and it'll be terrible. I'm just kidding. But this is the point, right? Like the think about this. Like the self-help industry is massive. It's like multi-billion-dollar industry. It's because of all the noise that we're expected to sort of march to the tune of, and it's noise. A lot of it's noise. Again, I'm not saying humanity's crap. I'm a humanist. But I am saying that there's a lot of stuff out there that is really unnecessary. And yeah. What else you got? Hello. Good evening.
Not much. I mean, I'm here 3D printing, but trying to make things kind of weird. I got something going on. I don't know if you're interested. I have a friend. I'm so lazy, but I have a friend, and she has a little YouTube thing called Light and Logic or something. And we're going through the thought deck, and so we're basically analyzing the tarot deck. If you want to plug that in, that's something where I'm spending my time with, which is cool. So it's a nice thing. I've been studying tarot for maybe 20 odd years. So yeah, if you guys are into that, I'll appreciate you guys checking it out.
Send me the link. Don't we have your link? What's your link tree? I think you got a link tree, right?
I don't even. I try to go to your website. I couldn't even find it.
No, don't go to my website. Go to Linktree or allmylinks.com. I thought we had you on the list. Hold on, let me check. Let me double check here. Let's get you on the list.
Linktree.
Yeah, follow Jorge right there.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. We got a thing. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up in another window here just in case it's something weird. Because if you don't know it, I don't know it. But yeah, anyway, so get me a Linktree or all my links and put all your stuff there. And yeah, we'll talk about it. Let me know as that develops, and that's the whole point. Let's share some creativity and inspire each other to do amazing things. That's the whole point. So yeah, definitely, you're on the list. Your link is there. Let me click the link and see if this is a bad link. I'm gonna be mad. I don't think it is because I put it there. You put it there. Hold on. There we go. All right. Oh, I got your YouTube. So we just got your YouTube. Okay. So what you want to do? Here you go. Here's this YouTube right there. There you go. So that if you go to his link to the troubledminds.org/friends, scroll down, you got his actual his YouTube channel there. So please give him a follow. Jorge, you're the best, brother. Let me know about that project. I'm interested. 3D printing is a fascinating thing, and it's probably something that's going to turn into food at some point. It'll be like Earl Grey from Captain Jean-Luc Picard. So that's an incredible thing with material science as it's developing. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. Send me the details on that and make a link tree or an all my links, and you could have all your stuff there. And you change it, and I'll just put the thing up. And anyway, so that's how we collaborate. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here. Thanks for the great idea, and always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
You too. Take care. There you go. Jorge. Hey, that's why we do this. Meeting people all over the world, talking about all kinds of wild and amazing ideas, and trying. Literally, the whole basis of this show is trying to inspire people to recognize that, look, I am as imperfect as it gets. Okay. Whatever you want to do, you should do it. You should do it. No excuses. No, I'm not ready yet. None of this crap. Just do it. Just do it. That's it. James, anything? Let's get the hell out of here.
And once you do, it'll keep you busy. I can tell you that much too.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
But yeah, I was thinking what Jorge said about great call. About the reason for all the Christmas and the birthdays and all that kind of the whole the people that make all those products, they don't care about the people that buy them. They just care that the people do buy them for whatever holiday or whatever birthday or whatever. So I do agree with that. Yeah, just great topic, and I'm glad I was able to jump in, and there's so much more. I think I did a show on the whole meanings and purpose, or what the differences are between darkness and light, and as it relates to anything paranormal. I think I may need to do another show on that because there was so much there.
Yeah, always rope some Dungeons and Dragons into your links there. Tell it add some granular Dungeons and Dragons aspects, and then we're going to be talking about crap forever, James. It's endless. It's literally endless.
Yeah, it is. It also helps when you have friends too. I think I'll be doing that show with. I'll save that for another one of my shows with Jen on a Saturday. So
nice. Yep.
Then it'll be good.
She is fantastic. Absolutely. Yep. Follow our friends. That's what this is all about. Again, why we do this is to build networks, is to inspire, to, again, prove that even a knucklehead like me can do this. And if I can do this, you can do this. Not this directly, specifically. It doesn't have to be this. You've been thinking about something that you should be doing. It is your calling. Find it and do it. Get busy. Get busy. Seriously. And it will keep you busy. And when you're busy, all the rest of the noise tends to fall away. Reality tunnel deep, but then recognize all the beautiful reality tunnels around us. That's the way I see this. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for caring about the conversations, staying up late with me and us and all the things. It's like I said, it's humbling. I'm blessed to be here and in the middle of the whirlwind. Your ringmaster of chaos, whatever. Thanks again for being friends and confidants and all the things. But don't forget, we're all going through something, and to treat each other like it. I appreciate that very much, that you guys are nice to each other at all the places. If you want to help Troubled Minds, help our friends. It's very simple. Go to troubledminds.org/friends or troubledminds.org. Click the friends link. Scroll down. A lot of people on that list. If you should be on that list, look, that's why we moved it to the webpage. You should be on that list. It's an in club, not an out club. Let me know. We'll share your stuff, and that's it. Simple as that. And call me, help me, whatever. You help this show 1 iota, you're on that list. You just got to let me know, okay? troubledmindsradio@gmail. Send me an email and say, hey, Mike, I should be on the list. Here's what I'm doing. Here's my link I want you to share. And the best way to do is to build your own link tree or all my links. And that way you can kind of adjust. If you have a new project, you can add it. And I don't have to because your link is already up on my website, on the Troubled Minds website. You see? So then you kind of have like an autonomy to be like, well, that project, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this instead. You get it. All my links or link tree. There you go. Anyway, that's it. If you want to help us, help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. If you want to help directly the show, just spread the word. Let people know a conversation's happening where we're not going to talk politics. We're basically not going to chase down anybody else's narrative. Okay? This whole thing has been not just an inspiration lesson. It's also a challenge to yourself. Me challenging myself. I'm an introvert, by the way. And also, it is a space to move forward into whatever might come next. And you don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. But when we get together and talk about these things, suddenly all these wild ideas sort of proliferate. And that's the point. Continue to think, continue to dream. It was my birthday a while ago, so it's not really, it's irrelevant, but I'm just joking that I don't celebrate my birthday per se, so obviously it's not public, but whatever. Happy birthday, Mike, on whatever day it is. It's not my birthday, but yeah, anyway, so that's that. It's a weird thing, right? The social pressures of all of it, but look, we don't have to buy in, and if we do, we can choose how and when, and just be the best you that you can be. That is the most important aspect of it. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. And this one's for Hiker over there on Rumble, always slaying it, sharing links and pinning stuff. And this one's for Hiker. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.